The next morning, after Liang Xiaobing and Wang Weiwen got out of bed and left the room, they smelled a tempting aroma coming from the hall below. The two of them looked at each other and could not help but walk downstairs. They saw Su Lin holding a plate of stir-fried noodles and placing it on the dining table. Seeing Liang Xiaobing and Wang Weiwen, she even smiled and said, "Good morning. Quickly come over and eat breakfast." Liang Xiaobing was a little embarrassed and said, "I'm really sorry to disturb you guys. I even troubled you to make breakfast for us." But she heard Su Lin laugh. "You guys don't have to thank me. I didn't make these breakfast." At that moment, Zhou Hao walked over from the kitchen with a pot of egg and lean meat porridge. "I don't know if you guys are used to eating Chinese or Western breakfast, but these are all personally made by me. Just give it a try." Wang Weiwen looked at Zhou Hao, intoxicated. "You actually know how to cook. Such a man is really fascinating. Don't let him make fun of you." Liang Xiaobing glared at Wang Weiwen and quickly got up to help Zhou Hao bring the egg and lean meat porridge over to each of their bowls. Actually, she was also very surprised in her heart. Zhou Hao actually knew how to cook. This was really unexpected. After drinking a mouthful of the egg and lean meat porridge, she felt that the porridge was soft and fragrant. The skinny meat and skinny eggs were rich and fragrant, and the stir-fried noodles were also very well cooked. Liang Xiaobing looked at Zhou Hao in surprise. She thought that with this craftsmanship, even her own mother would not be able to match up to him. "Mr. Zhou, Weiwen and I want to go back to the TV city later to take a look," Liang Xiaobing said to Zhou Hao. Wang Weiwen, who was next to her, said, "It's better not to. Uncle Fei's men are all waiting for you at the set." "How about this?" Zhou Hao said, "I'll accompany you there. I'll temporarily be Miss Liang's bodyguard." Before Liang Xiaobing could say anything, Wang Weiwen clapped and cheered, "Okay, okay. With Zhou Hao around, you don't have to be afraid." Liang Xiaobing rolled her eyes at Wang Weiwen and then said to Zhou Hao, "I won't disturb your work like this, right?" "No. Anyway, I have nothing to do now." Zhou Hao smiled at Su Lin and said, "Su Lin, do you want to go? I want to take a look at the TVB set." Su Lin shrugged. "You are the boss. I will follow you wherever you go." After breakfast, Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing left the villa and headed to the TV city of Wireless Television Limited. Since Zhou Hao's Porsche could only be used by 2 people, Zhou Hao decided not to drive it. Instead, he sat on Liang Xiaobing's Toyota Jeep. Currently, the Wireless Television Limited's television city was still in Dagon Qingshui Bay. According to Zhou Hao's memory in his previous life, the Wireless Television Limited would only move to the General Television City in 2003. Speaking of Wireless Television Limited, he had to mention Wireless's boss, Xiao Yifu. It could be said that he was a legendary figure who created Eastern Hollywood. Originally, Xiao Yifu had dominated the Hong Kong film industry with the Xiao family. More than half of the Hong Kong movies in his early years had come from the Xiao family. After that, along with the rise of Jiahe and New Art City and other movie companies, the Xiao family's development space had also greatly shrunk. At that time, Xiao Yifu wisely put his main strength into the television industry and focused all of his efforts on developing the Wireless Television Limited. Finally, many years later, the Wireless Television Limited would develop into a giant that monopolized the Hong Kong TV industry. In fact, in the early stages of the development of the Wireless Television Limited, this future giant in the TV industry had always been suppressed by ATV, which was also the predecessor of the Asia Television Limited, the Beautiful TV. However, because the Beautiful TV at that time was a charging channel, the Wireless Television Limited took the initiative to open the free TV channel and gain the upper hand. The Beautiful TV had changed hands a few times, and the policy had changed again. Thus, the Wireless Television Limited had always been ahead of them. However, although the Wireless Television Limited monopolized the television industry in Hong Kong, it was also famous for exploiting its own employees. Because they were afraid that the artistes they had spent so much effort to groom would change their investment to others, the Wireless Television Limited would usually sign long-term contracts with the artistes under their banner, at least 5 to 6 years or more than 10 years. Moreover, the intensity of filming was very high. Many actors could only sleep for less than 2 hours every day during the filming period. Furthermore, many A-list artistes went out to receive advertisements. More than half of the profits had to be handed over to Wireless Television Limited. Apart from that, the second-tier and third-tier artistes of the Wireless Television Limited, as well as the staff behind the scenes, had struck more than once due to their low salaries. Therefore, during the competition with the Asia Television Limited, the Asia Television Limited would often poach the artistes of the Wireless Television Limited, as well as the staff members behind the scenes. Those artistes and the employees behind the scenes would often leave as soon as they were poached, and they didn't have the slightest bit of attachment to the wireless television limited. In the car, Zhou Hao asked Liang Xiaobing, who was in front of him, "Miss Liang, we are all friends now. You can just call me Xiaobing from now on. I will also call you Zhou Hao." Liang Xiaobing smiled brightly at Zhou Hao through the mirror. "Okay." Zhou Hao also smiled. "Do you still have any TV dramas to film next?" Liang Xiaobing shrugged and said, "The company hasn't announced anything yet, so I don't know either. But during this period of time, I might go out to receive some advertisements. This is Wei Wen's responsibility." Wang Wei Wen, who was sitting in the passenger seat, said, "Actually, it's useless to take on advertisements. Most of the advertising fees have to be given to the company. In the end, there aren't many advertisements that will end up in your hands. I heard that filming on the wireless is very difficult. Can you bear it?" Zhou Hao asked Liang Xiaobing with concern. Wang Wei Wen turned around and said to Zhou Hao, "You are telling the truth. Many artistes in the company are too tired and can't make it to the day they make it. That's why they have to terminate the contract in advance and find another way out. Although I am an employee of the company, I am also a friend of Xiaobing. From the perspective of a friend, I do not agree with Xiaobing staying on the wireless. Actually, Xian Bufu has been working hard for so many years. I am also somewhat used to it." Liang Xiaobing's face had a kind of relieved smile. "But sometimes, I also want to give myself a long vacation. Maybe if I find a small island, no one will notify me, and no one wants me to film, I will be able to live freely on the island for a period of time." "Hee. I'm afraid that your wish will only come true after you retire," Wang Weiwen smiled and said. "Maybe there is another shortcut, which is to promote the entertainment industry." He looked at Liang Xiaobing, who was beside him, and sighed. "Actually, you are not suitable for the entertainment industry. You are neither shady nor ruthless. If it wasn't for your uncle protecting you from behind, you've been eaten by the piranhas long ago. Look at Guanjilin, Li Jiasin, and the others. Not only are they ruthless to their enemies, they are also ruthless to themselves. Only then can they roam among the wealthy tycoons." Wang Weiwen turned around and said to Zhou Hao and Su Lin, "I will tell you honestly. Actually, the entertainment circle is the sheep circle of those wealthy tycoons. If you like any of the sheep in the circle, just take them out and eat them. And now, the shepherd protecting Xiaobing is no longer there. The wolves outside will naturally take advantage of the situation." Liang Xiaobing did not respond to Wang Weiwen's words. She liked to dance and perform since she was young. It was unrealistic to say that she did not like fame and fortune. She did like the feeling of being the center of attention. However, she had her own principles. For the sake of her ideals, or rather, for fame and fortune, she would work hard without any regrets. But she would never pay the price of her own body and dignity. She was not the kind of person who would sacrifice herself for the sake of art. Soon, the group arrived at the television city of the Wireless Television Limited, which was located in Qingshui Bay's Taipei Zai. Looking at the television city that produced countless Hong Kong dramas, Zhou Hao and Su Lin could not help but sigh. When they walked into the door, the guard even politely greeted Liang Xiaobing, "Miss Liang." Because Liang Xiaobing and Wang Weiwen were with them, Zhou Hao and Su Lin were able to pass through without any obstruction. The few of them went straight to the dressing room. When a second-tier female artiste saw Liang Xiaobing come back, she immediately walked over and said to Liang Xiaobing, "Sister Xiaobing, a few very fierce men came to look for you just now. They are still at the first factory, not allowing us to film. They said that they won't leave if they can't find you. Sister Zhan is already talking to them." She carefully asked Liang Xiaobing, "Sister Xiaobing, did you offend someone? I think those people are all gangsters. Many colleagues don't dare to enter the first factory. The scene that was supposed to be filmed today has been cut off. I'm sorry for dragging you guys into this," Liang Xiaobing said apologetically. At the same time, she was shocked. Fang Bingrun and the others had indeed come. On the other side, Zhou Hao realized that although this second-tier artiste seemed to care about Liang Xiaobing on the surface, there was a faint gloating smile in his eyes. He could not help but shake his head, secretly sighing that there were really schemes and plots everywhere in the entertainment industry. What about Xiaobing? Those people really came. Wang Weiwen was very panicked. "Don't be afraid. Let's go and take a look." Liang Xiaobing took a deep breath and took the lead to walk in the direction of the first factory. Zhou Hao and the others naturally followed. The second-tier female artiste just now looked at Zhou Hao and Su Lin's backs and muttered to herself, "Who are those two people? Could they be the newly signed artistes by Wang Weiwen? *M in it. If those two people come in again, how can I stand up for them?" Not to mention that female artiste who was complaining about herself. Zhou Hao, Liang Xiaobing, and the rest came to the first factory and saw a few burly men there as expected. Some cameras were pushed to the ground. Many artistes and employees avoided them from afar and did not dare to approach them at all. A woman in her 40s, dressed in a professional suit, stood calmly in front of the young man in the lead. It should be the Sister Jeanne mentioned by the female artiste earlier. As for the man in front of her, he was only a young man in his 20s. He was also wearing a black suit. He looked like an elite white-collar worker and not a gangster. Unlike the other fierce-looking men, the young man seemed quiet and even gentle. However, Zhou Hao thought that although the man looked elegant on the surface, it made Zhou Hao feel gloomy. It was as if he was deliberately suppressing his ferociousness under that faint smile. Zhou Hao also understood that such a person was terrifying. As the saying went, a knife is hidden in a smile. It was this kind of person. As for that woman called Sister Jeanne, Zhou Hao also felt that she looked somewhat familiar, but he could not remember where he had seen her before. Sister Jeanne and that man were talking when she suddenly saw Liang Xiaobing return. The smile on that man's face became even wider. He smiled and said, "Sister Jeanne, you really know how to joke. You even said that Miss Liang was not feeling well, so you took a leave of absence. Look, isn't she fine?" After saying that, he walked towards Liang Xiaobing and took the initiative to extend his right hand. "Hello, Miss Liang. Long time no see. Do you still remember me? I am Xiao Lianhu. I came specially to find you." Wang Weiwen whispered into Zhou Hao's ear, "That is Fang Bingruan's godson, Xiao Lianhu. He was very famous among the younger generation of East Star. He was supported by the younger generation. He was known as the Smiling Tiger in the martial world." Zhou Hao nodded in his heart. He thought that this person's nickname was the Laughing Tiger. Indeed, it gave him the same feeling as he gave himself. Facing Xiao Lianhu's enthusiasm, Liang Xiaobing did not want to fall out with him in public, so she stretched out her hand to hold him. Unexpectedly, the moment her hand touched Xiao Lianhu, she was suddenly grabbed by him, and he quickly took out a police handcuffs. He grabbed Liang Xiaobing's wrist while the other one was on his own wrist. He tied Liang Xiaobing together with him and said with a faint smile, "Haha, this way, I can bring you to my godfather." Everyone did not expect Xiao Lianhu to do this. Liang Xiaobing could not help but struggle as she shouted, "What are you doing? Let go of me." On the other side, Wang Weiwen also shouted, "Let go of Xiaobing." He wanted to rush forward to save Liang Xiaobing, but when he saw the fierce-looking burly men in front of him, he subconsciously stopped in his tracks. Zhou Hao took a step forward. He said faintly to Xiao Lianhu, "Let her go." Xiao Lianhu looked at Zhou Hao for a while, then curled his lips and smiled. "You must be the one who injured Black Ghost and took her away yesterday. Humph, humph, humph. Our East Star will remember you." Following Xiao Lianhu's words, the few burly men each took out a black gun and aimed it at Zhou Hao's head. When they suddenly saw this scene, the surrounding artistes and employees couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Even Sister Jeanne's expression changed drastically as she shouted at Xiao Lianhu, "Mr. Xiao, this is our wireless place. Don't mess around. Even if you look down on me, you should give sixth uncle face." The sixth uncle she spoke of was Xiao Yifu. Xiao Lianhu smiled and said, "Don't worry, my godfather and sixth uncle are good friends. Even if sixth uncle knew, he wouldn't blame us. This fellow is someone the East Star wants to deal with. I advise you to mind your own business. At most, I'll give you some compensation for the sight." Xiao Lianhu's arrogant words made Sister Jeanne very angry, but she did not dare to act rashly. After all, the other party was a triad and had a gun in his hand. "Do you still have any law in your eyes?" Su Lin, who was on the other side, said angrily, "You gangsters are too arrogant." What she cared about the most was Zhou Hao's safety. She took out her phone from her bag and called the police. "I advise you not to act recklessly. After all, before you call the police, my bullet will hit you." Xiao Lianhu stared at Su Lin from afar. Although he still had a smile on his face, the look in his eyes was abnormally cold. Zhou Hao, who was pointed at by several handguns, seemed to be the calmest. He smiled and said, "I have heard before that those gangs will bring guns to the film set to force celebrities. I didn't expect that I would encounter such a thing as well." He took a step towards Xiao Lianhu. It seemed like he was going to walk over. "Don't move." A big man on the left shouted, "One more step and I'll blow up your head." Zhou Hao did not even look at him. "If you have the guts, shoot. Don't just talk and not practice." After saying that, he took another step. The big man's face changed. He could not help looking at Xiao Lianhu, but Zhou Hao continued to walk in the direction of Xiao Lianhu and Liang Xiaobing. "Zhou Hao, don't come over. They really know how to shoot." Liang Xiaobing, who was held back by Xiao Lianhu, said, "Forget it. Let's call it a day." I will plead with Fong Bingrun on your behalf. Don't get involved in this anymore. Zhou Hao smiled and said, I said that I will be your flower protector today, so I will definitely protect you. You. Why are you so stubborn? They are gangs. They are not people you can provoke. Liang Xiaobing was already anxious to cry. Xiao Lianhu saw that Zhou Hao was still walking towards him, so he gave those men a look. After receiving Xiao Lianhu's instructions, those men rushed towards Zhou Hao at the same time, like a few fierce tigers pouncing on their prey. Zhou Hao stood with his left foot. He lifted his right leg and kicked continuously, like a whip, at the burly man who was looking forward to pouncing on him. It was as if a strong wind was blowing on the ground. The few burly men felt as if they had been struck by lightning in front of their chests and were sent flying backwards. When they fell to the ground with a loud crash, they felt as if all the bones in their bodies had shattered, and they could not get up no matter what. While the surrounding people were amazed, they couldn't help but feel strange. Why did those big men not use guns but use their fists and kicks to deal with Zhou Hao? At this time, Zhou Hao had already arrived in front of Xiao Lianhu. He looked at Xiao Lianhu and smiled. You dare to abduct people and extort them with a few toy guns? You are really bold. Xiao Lianhu was stunned. How do you know that those guns are not real? Zhou Hao pointed at the right temple with his finger. Intuition. Only then did the surrounding people come back to their senses. It turned out that those big men's pistols were not real. After thinking about it carefully, they understood that Xiao Lianhu and the others would not really kill people on the set unscrupulously. However, since they were gangsters, most people would naturally think that they had real guns in their hands. They were indeed afraid that Zhou Hao would be shot to death by them. I didn't expect you to be a martial arts practitioner. I thought Black Ghost and the others had underestimated you. Xiao Lianhu was still very calm and did not show any signs of panic. Zhou Hao did not comment and smiled. Now you have two choices. The first is to take out the key and open the handcuffs and get out of here. Second, I'll break your hands and let the ambulance send you out of here. The entire set fell into silence. Xiao Lianhu was a gangster and the son of the leader of the Union Society, Bing Rong. He was above everyone else in the club. Xiao Lianhu also said, Did you know? Even the other clubs wouldn't dare to talk to me like that. Are you really not afraid of the 20,000 brothers of the East Star? Because the United Club was known to have 20,000 members, even though some of the local media outlets in Hong Kong claimed that the number was exaggerated. However, the officials believed that although the number of members in the Union Society was not as much as 20,000, between 10,000 to 15,000 people, it was already a very large organization. So what if it's 200,000? How can it be stronger than the army? Zhou Hao did not care. Indeed, after the Liberation Army moved into Hong Kong, the so-called societies could not be so arrogant anymore. Zhou Hao said, My patience is not very good. If you still don't choose, I will personally help you decide. The smile on Xiao Lianhu's face finally disappeared. He narrowed his eyes and stared at Zhou Hao in front of him. The muscle at the corner of his mouth was still twitching, but after more than 10 seconds, a bright smile returned to his face. I'm still so young. Of course, I don't want to become a disabled person so soon. He smiled at Zhou Hao and said, I choose the first one. After saying that, Xiao Lianhu took out a key from his pocket and unlocked the handcuffs on Liang Xiaobing and himself. Zhou Hao immediately pulled Liang Xiaobing to his side and asked her, Are you all right? Liang Xiaobing shook her head and wiped away the tears at the corners of her eyes. She said to Zhou Hao, Thank you. Zhou Hao smiled lightly, then looked at Xiao Lianhu. Still not leaving? Xiao Lianhu smiled at Zhou Hao and said, Brother, I admire your courage. How dare you provoke our East Star like this? You are the first. May I know your name? Zhou Hao. He nodded and said, All right, we will meet again in the mountains and rivers. Xiao Lianhu cupped his fists at Zhou Hao, then gave Liang Xiaobing a deep look. He then left the scene with the few men who had just gotten up. Immediately, the set was filled with cheers. Those artistes and employees all applauded and cheered for Zhou Hao. A few actresses who were playing the small roles looked at Zhou Hao with shining eyes. Heroes save the beauty. It's too romantic. Did you see that? That Zhou Hao was so handsome just now. He even had such heroic spirit in front of the gangs. It was really awesome. He remembered that Zhou Hao was surrounded by a few big men, but he was still so calm and calm. He had also knocked down a few big men in such a neat and tidy manner. The hearts of the female artistes in the crowd couldn't help but move. They were also jealous of Liang Xiaobing, who was the female lead. At this moment, Sister Zhen also walked up to Zhou Hao and smiled at him. Sir, it was really all thanks to you just now. Those gangs are getting more and more arrogant. You're welcome. Zhou Hao smiled. When he was close to Sister Zhen, he finally remembered where he had seen her. Zhou Hao finally remembered that this sister Zhan was one of the higher-ups in the Wireless Television Limited. Her full name was Zhang Lizzie. She was a broadcaster at Hong Kong radio station in the early years. She joined the Wireless Television Limited in 1974 and started as an assistant director. Later, she became the director of drama production in the production department of the Wireless Television Limited. Zhou Ruinfa, Liu Dehua, Liang Chaowei, and other superstars were all famous in her hands. In the future, she would be the director of the classic Hong Kong TV series, Sin of the Golden Branch, which would become popular in Hong Kong and the mainland. Zhou Hao had seen Zhang Lizzie on the entertainment news before. Of course, she was much younger than she was 10 years later, which was why Zhou Hao did not recognize her at first glance. In the entertainment news in his previous life, Zhang Lizzie often appeared in the news section along with the faction struggles of the Wireless Television Limited. The faction struggles between the upper echelons of the Wireless Television Limited had always been the favorite news in Hong Kong's entertainment news. Zhou Hao knew that in the future, the upper echelons of the Wireless Television Limited would be split into 4 factions. Each faction would be in charge of the artistes that leaned towards them, and Zhang Lizzie was one of them. Apart from Liu Yilin and Chen Zhiyun, who would only be joining the Wireless Television Limited 2,000 years later, in 1997, Liang Jiashu, who was also an old official of the Wireless Television Limited, was the most powerful one who fought with Zhang Lizzie. However, Zhou Hao knew that Liang Jiashu could not defeat Zhang Lizzie in the end. In the next 10 years, Liang Jiashu would gradually decline, and he would become an existence respected by the higher-ups. Liang Xiaobing was also an artiste from Zhang Lijian's faction. Because in the Wireless Television Limited, if one did not have a big tree to rely on, it would be very difficult to survive if one did not have a big tree to rely on. Even if Liang Xiaobing had the support of her uncle, Luo Jiadong, it was the same. Xiaobing, is this Mr. Zhou your friend? Zhang Lizzie smiled at Liang Xiaobing. Liang Xiaobing looked at Zhou Hao and nodded at Zhang Lizzie. Yes, it was all thanks to him yesterday. Otherwise, I would have been captured by Fang Bingrun. I didn't expect their people to find the set here today. Sister Zhen, I'm really sorry. I'm the one who implicated everyone. Zhang Lizzie shook his head. It's fine. Don't worry. You're a member of our TVB. The company will protect you. I will tell Sister Hua about what happened today. Although Sixth Uncle and Sister Hua are not in Hong Kong, I'm afraid that Fang Bingrun will not dare to make things difficult for us openly. The Sister Hua she spoke of was Fang Yihua, Xiao Yifu's confidant who had accompanied her for decades. According to Zhou Hao's memory, Fang Yihua and Xiao Yifu officially married on the 6th of May this year. Zhang Lizzie said that Xiao Yifu and Fang Yihua were not in Hong Kong. It seemed like they were registered in the Las Vegas in the United States. At this moment, he heard Zhang Lizzie say to Liang Xiaobing, Xiaobing, your contract will expire next year. What do you think? Will you renew your contract with the company? I want to think about it. Liang Xiaobing hesitated for a moment. Just as Wang Weiwen had said, the Wireless Television Limited had exploited the artistes under their banner seriously. The most important thing was the distribution of profits from advertising endorsements and the intensity of work. Furthermore, during this period of time, the Asia Television Limited had also extended an olive branch to Liang Xiaobing. All of these factors added together had caused Liang Xiaobing to waver when the contract with the Wireless Television Limited was about to expire. It's only right to think about it. After all, this is not a small matter. Zhang Lizzie smiled. Liang Xiaobing had been in Wireless Television Limited for so many years, and Zhang Lizzie knew her very well. She knew that Liang Xiaobing was the kind of person who would take advantage of the soft, but not the hard kind of person. The more you used high-pressure methods on her, the more she would reflect on you. So Zhang Lizzie used a moderate method. At the same time, she also looked at Zhou Hao. Mr. Zhou, may I ask, what profession are you in now? I don't know if you're interested in joining the entertainment industry. Her gaze kept on Zhou Hao. I think you have the potential to develop in the entertainment industry, and I think you seem to have learned martial arts before. That made things even easier. If you're interested, our company can provide you with a broad development platform. Zhou Hao was tall, handsome, and had an extraordinary temperament. Even Zhang Lizzie, an old woman, could not help but be tempted, let alone those young people who liked to chase stars. Besides, Zhang Lizzie had been working in Wireless Television Limited for so many years, and his eyesight was still very sharp. He could immediately see the potential in Zhou Hao's body. In her opinion, if the packaging was good and Zhou Hao was able to live up to expectations, then it would not be difficult for him to become a superstar like Liu Dehua and Liang Chaowei. Furthermore, if he had Zhou Hao's potential stock, Zhang Lizzie would also have the upper hand in the battle with Liang Jiashu. Thank you, Sister Zhen, for your kindness, but I appreciate it. I'm busy with my work, so I'm afraid I won't be able to take care of other things. Zhou Hao smiled and declined Zhang Lizi's offer. So, I can only apologize to you, Sister Jean. Su Lin, who was beside him, thought to herself that with Zhou Hao's wealth, there was no need for him to be a celebrity. If Zhou Hao was willing, he could even buy over the entire Wireless Television Limited. Of course, this was only based on the account value of the Wireless Television Limited. The Wireless Television Limited's account value was more than 16 billion Hong Kong dollars, and Zhou Hao's current funds were about this amount. However, this was not the only true value of the Wireless Television Limited. She also had a wide television network, a stable audience, and other invisible assets. This aircraft carrier, which was personally built by Xiao Yifu, was not so easy to sink. After hearing Zhou Hao's rejection, Zhang Lizi still wanted to fight for more. However, he saw Liang Xiaobing secretly give him a look. Su Lin also looked like she was watching a good show, so she wisely did not say anything. After that, Zhang Lizi went to his office with Liang Xiaobing and Wang Wei-Wen to discuss business. At the same time, he also sent a staff member to guide Zhou Hao and Su Lin to tour the TV city. In the office, Zhang Lizi asked Liang Xiaobing, "Xiaobing, why did you stop me just now? I think that Zhou Hao is very likely to develop in the entertainment industry. He might very well become the second Lu Dohua or Liang Chaowei." However, Liang Xiaobing smiled. "Sister Jean, he won't agree. There's no need for him to develop and profit in the entertainment industry. Could he be the son of those aristocrats and wealthy families? However, I don't think so. I know all the princes in Hong Kong." Liang Xiaobing said, "He is very rich, but he is not one of those aristocrats. He opened an investment company by himself. His business is very good, and his income is much higher than that of an artiste." She did not tell Zhang Lizi everything about Zhou Hao to avoid unnecessary trouble. She only told him that Zhou Hao was very rich and did not need to be an actor. After hearing Liang Xiaobing's explanation, Zhang Lizi was also very disappointed, but there was nothing he could do. Because she knew that those rich kids and wealthy tycoons did not care about being an actor because in their eyes, actors and artistes were just actors. In comparison, they preferred to be kept as a mistress and play with those actors. After overlooking this matter, Zhang Lizi talked about the renewal of the contract with Liang Xiaobing again. "Xiaobing, I have always thought highly of you, and you have never disappointed me. How is it? If you agree to renew the contract with the company, I can promise you that in the future, no matter how long it takes for you to appear, I will pay you 50,000 renminbi per episode. The monthly fixed salary will also be increased by 20% compared to before." She also received the news that Asia Television Limited wanted to poach Liang Xiaobing, so she did not hesitate to give Liang Xiaobing superior conditions. But in the company, the frequency of filming is too frequent. If this goes on for a long period of time, I'm afraid my body will not be able to take it. "How about this?" Zhang Lizi said. "I'll give you an upper limit. Every year, you can only film 5 sets of television series at most. On average, we can film 1 set per month. In total, you have at least half a year's time for yourself to grasp." She looked at Liang Xiaobing seriously. "Xiaobing, I have already treated you very well. If it was someone else, I would not even be bothered to talk to them." Actually, Liang Xiaobing was most concerned about whether she could get some rest. Now that Zhang Lizi had promised her, she nodded and agreed. "All right then, but I want to sign a 3-year contract first and see if the contract will be renewed after 3 years." "No problem," Zhang Lizhin said. Although compared to other wireless artistes with a 6-year contract, Liang Xiaobing's 3-year contract was not considered long. However, Zhang Lizhin had at least asked her to stay behind. "I'll get someone to arrange for a formal renewal of the contract with you in a few days' time. Also, I don't think you'll be scheduled for the next 1 or 2 months. You can take advantage of this period of time to receive advertisements or endorsements, or you can even give yourself a vacation." When they came out of Zhang Lizi's office, Zhou Hao and Su Lin had almost finished shopping in the TV city. Looking at the realistic scenes that were completely different from those in the television series, Zhou Hao and Su Lin felt that it was very fresh. At the same time, they also had a very deep understanding of the filming work of the television series and television programs. After that, Zhou Hao and Su Lin took Liang Xiaobing's car to her house. Perhaps it was because Xiao Lianhu and the others returned in defeat in the set that Fang Bingrun did not send anyone to Liang Xiaobing's house to ambush her. Liang Xiaobing and Wang Wei-Wen's house were both in a residential area called Blue Garden in Coppergong Bay. The two of them lived on the 17th and 18th floors respectively. They were friends and colleagues, but they were also neighbors. Liang Xiaobing's home was not big, but it was very comfortable. Clearly, she had spent a lot of effort in this house. There were many small bonsai plants in the room and the balcony, which made this small house a lot livelier. In order to thank Zhou Hao and Su Lin for their help, Liang Xiaobing and Wang Weiwen personally cooked lunch for them. The two of them cooked steak, salad, and other Western dishes, which made Zhou Hao and Su Lin feel very fresh. After spending a leisurely afternoon, Zhou Hao was going to pay Zhang Yingpei a visit. What? The friend you are visiting is Zhang Yingpei? Liang Xiaobing and Wang Weiwen were shocked when they found out who Zhou Hao and Su Lin wanted to visit. Zhou Hao, you know Zhang Yingpei? Wang Weiwen grabbed Zhou Hao's arm, his face full of surprise. Zhou Hao smiled and said, strictly speaking, I don't know him yet, but he invited me to his house for dinner tonight. No wonder you're not afraid of being ran. Zhang Yingpei is the second brother of the police. What? Liang Xiaobing said. Wang Weiwen asked, Zhou Hao, can I go with you tonight? I also want to get to know Zhang Yingpei. Of course. Therefore, in the evening, Zhou Hao brought Su Lin, Liang Xiaobing, and Wang Weiwen to Zhang Yingpei's residence to pay him a visit. Zhang Yingpei's house was a high-class apartment provided by the government. The environment and management were very good. Because they had received a call from Zhou Hao beforehand, Zhang Yingpei and his wife Zhang Minjing had been waiting for them at home for a long time. However, when Zhou Hao and the others arrived, they were surprised to find not only Zhang Yingpei, but also his brother and wife, Zhang Yingquan. Hello, Chief Zhang. Zhou Hao warmly held Zhang Yingpei's hand and smiled at Zhang Yingquan. This must be the god of wealth, Director Zhang. Currently, Zhang Yingquan was still the secretary of Hong Kong's financial division, in charge of Hong Kong's finances. General Liu has introduced you to us a long time ago. He said that you were young and promising. He was right. Zhang Yingpei welcomed Zhou Hao and the others into the room with a bright smile. When they entered the house, Zhou Hao introduced Su Lin and Liang Xiaobing to Zhang Yingquan and Zhang Yingpei. Oh, I forgot to introduce them to you. These three are my friends, and this is Su Lin. This is Liang Xiaobing, and this is Wang Weiwen. In order to attend Zhang Yingpei's family feast, Su Lin had specially changed into the Malik evening dress that Zhou Hao had given her yesterday. She looked very noble and generous. Liang Xiaobing, on the other hand, also dressed up with interest. She was originally an artiste, so naturally, she was well acquainted with the way she dressed. She was even more beautiful and charming than when she was on the stage. Zhang Yingquan smiled and said, Haha, we've also watched Miss Liang's television series. In the recent chatroom, Miss Liang's roles are all very good. Really? Thank you, Secretary Zhang. Liang Xiaobing was naturally very happy to be praised by a high-ranking official like Zhang Yingquan. Zhang Minjing and Zhang Yingquan's wife, Zhang Baoijing, were personally cooking. They were busy preparing dinner for Zhou Hao and the others in the kitchen. Su Lin and Liang Xiaobing thought about helping these two high-ranking ladies, but were pushed out. Zhang Minjing said that Su Lin and the others were guests, so there was no reason for the guest leaders to cook. Thus, Zhou Hao and the rest gathered in the living room with the two brothers of the Zhang family. Zhang Yingpei even specially opened the wine that he had kept for a long time to entertain Zhou Hao and the rest. After tasting the mellow red wine, Zhou Hao smiled at Zhang Yingpei and said, This time, I am a newcomer. I have come to pay a visit to the dock for the two of you. I hope the two of you can take care of me. Zhang Yingquan was as polite as Zhou Hao had seen on TV in his previous life, especially the butterfly tie on his neck. It almost became his symbol. He smiled at Zhou Hao and said, Xiao Hao, you are too polite. General Liu had told me that you should take good care of you when you were in Hong Kong. Haha, don't call our Director Zhang, Director Zhang. It's not like we're in a public place. Xiao Hao, just call us Uncle Quan and Uncle Pei. Su Lin, Liang Xiaobing, and Wang Weiwen were all pleasantly surprised, especially Liang Xiaobing and Wang Weiwen. Previously, they were worried about being ran. Now that they were under the care of these two high officials, they did not need to be afraid of being ran anymore. Zhou Hao asked, Uncle Quan, Uncle Pei, there are still 2 more months before the return ceremony. Your government's transfer should be about right. Zhang Yingquan nodded. Yes, many British officials have returned to their ancestral home. Although that is the case, we still need to be careful. Zhou Hao said, previously, the British spies poisoned General Liu, attempting to hinder the process of Hong Kong returning to their homeland. Those British people have never been kind. That's right. Our ancestors were right. Those who are not of our race must have different intentions. Zhang Yingpei said emotionally. Take the clubs in Hong Kong as an example. Xian, Shanghai, and the other big clubs have all expressed their stance to the country. Their activities have been much more low-profile since the beginning of the year. However, the Union Society and some other societies are getting more and more arrogant. Moreover, the Hong Kong government is intentionally indulging them. Peng Dingkong also personally told us not to get too close to the Alliance Club. It seems like Peng Dingkong doesn't want to see a prosperous and stable Hong Kong, Zhou Hao said. As the last Hong Kong port governor, Peng Dingkong represented the end of the era of colonization in Hong Kong. Whether it was himself or the British side, they would not let Hong Kong return smoothly. Liu Zhenwu being poisoned and murdered was an example. Speaking of the alliance, Xiaobing has been threatened by Bingrong recently. Zhou Hao took the opportunity to tell Zhang Yingquan and Zheng Yingpei about the threat to Bingrong and Liang Xiaobing. Zheng Yingquan said, "Actually, this kind of thing is very common in the entertainment industry. Many artists have asked our government for help before. However, on one hand, it was because we lacked evidence. On the other hand, those artists often requested to close the case themselves later on. They should have been threatened by those underworld figures." Actually, there was another reason he didn't say it out loud. It was just that a palm wouldn't make a sound. Other than those mafia bosses bullying others with their power, there were also those female artists who were greedy for vanity. However, since this isn't Xiaobing's own wish, then we can't let that old fatty do whatever he wants. Zheng Yingpei said, previously, their association openly sold drugs in several nightclubs. If Peng Dingkong did not stop them, I would have sent people to arrest him long ago. Zheng Yingquan, who was beside him, said, "You should call that old fatty now and warn him, so that he won't act recklessly." Zheng Yingpei nodded and picked up the phone to call Fang Bingrun. "Oh, Director Zheng, why did you trouble him to call me?" Fang Bingrun's voice came from the phone. Fang Bingrun was very surprised that Zheng Yingpei called him. He had been expanding his power while the major clubs had stopped their activities. However, he was still very afraid of the higher-ups of the police force like Zheng Yingpei. Zheng Yingpei did not waste any time talking nonsense with him and went straight to the point. "It's nothing. It's just that you have been harassing one of my niece recently, which annoyed her too much. She even came to me and cried." "Director Zheng, your niece?" Fang Bingrun was also at a loss. "It's Xiaobing," Zheng Yingpei reminded him. Fang Bingrun, on the other hand, was shocked. He thought to himself, why did that little bitch suddenly find such a big backer? *M in it, could it be that she is hooked up with Zheng Yingpei? He heard Zheng Yingpei say again, "Forget about the past. But if you dare to harass my niece again, don't blame me for clearing out the territory I gave you. Do you hear me?" I heard you. Fang Bingrun hurriedly replied. After putting down the phone, Zheng Yingpei's smile returned to his face. He said to Liang Xiaobing, "All right, it's fine now. Xiaobing, you don't have to worry anymore in the future." "Thank you, Uncle Pei," Liang Xiaobing said and cast a grateful look at Zhou Hao. She knew that Zheng Yingpei was helping her because of Zhou Hao. Liang Xiaobing's guess was also correct. The reason why Zheng Yingpei helped Liang Xiaobing was largely because of Zhou Hao. Otherwise, there would be so many celebrities in Hong Kong. How could he help? As the management of Hong Kong that the central government had deliberately nurtured, Zheng Yingquan and Zheng Yingpei had established a close relationship with the country since a long time ago. Liu Zhenwu was one of the generals who had a close relationship with them. Zhou Hao was not only Liu Zhenwu's savior. According to Liu Zhenwu, the military in the country attached great importance to Zhou Hao. As the leader of the country and an elder of the military, Zhao Rixin had recently taken Zhou Hao as his godson. This showed Zhou Hao's status. Therefore, when Zheng Yingquan and Zheng Yingpei befriended Zhou Hao, they also wanted to rope him in. Zheng Yingquan said to Zhou Hao, "Xiao Hao, I heard that you opened an investment company in Hong Kong. How about it? Do you want Uncle Quan to introduce you to some clients? In Hong Kong, many people are willing to give Uncle Quan face." "Thank you, Uncle Quan. However, my investment company has just opened for business not long ago, so I can't handle too many customers for the time being. Let's take it slow so as not to be too hasty." Actually, Zhao Yuqin transferred to the Galaxy Investment under Zhou Hao's name. Her main task was to help Zhou Hao manage the money in the stock market and the futures market. She did not need to develop clients like other investment companies. It could be said that the only customer in the Galaxy Investment was Zhou Hao. After that, Zhou Hao, Su Lin and the rest gathered with Zheng Yingquan, Zheng Yingpei, and the others for a rich dinner. During the dinner, everyone chatted happily and enjoyed themselves. As Zheng Yingquan, Zheng Yingpei, had a high position, he needed to be busy with something. There were a lot of things that they could not spend too much time with Zhou Hao and the others. Zhou Hao also tactfully said goodbye and left. "If you need any help, just come to us. There is no need to be polite." When Zhou Hao and the others left, Zheng Yingquan said to them with a smile. Zhou Hao also smiled. "Understood, Uncle Quan. I will definitely not be polite when the time comes." After leaving the Zheng family, Zhou Hao smiled at Liang Xiaobing and Wang Weiwen. "You should go home tonight, right? If you want to stay at my place, I won't welcome you." At this time, Liang Xiaobing no longer had any wariness towards Zhou Hao. She regarded him as her true friend. She sincerely said to Zhou Hao, although it is very long-winded, I still want to thank you. Since we're friends, you don't have to be so polite. Zhou Hao smiled at Liang Xiaobing and said, if you think I am your friend. He looked at Zhou Hao's sunny smile like that of a boy next door. Liang Xiaobing also felt warm in her heart. She smiled and said, of course I treat you as a good friend. If you have time, come find me anytime. My home is always open for you, Zhou Hao smiled. Seeing Wang Weiwen's sour face beside Liang Xiaobing, he quickly added, oh, of course there's also you, Weiwen. Wang Weiwen smiled again this time. Liang Xiaobing was physically and mentally exhausted because she had been in shock for the past 2 days. Zhou Hao told her to go back and rest earlier. Hey, what are you looking at? She has already left. Seeing Zhou Hao still standing there looking at Liang Xiaobing's back from afar, Su Lin came to his side and waved her hand in front of him. Seeing Su Lin, who was usually capable and nimble, now pouted her lips, Zhou Hao smiled and said, what is it? Who made you angry again? He found that Su Lin, a normal professional female, had a unique kind of beauty when she got angry. Su Lin looked at Zhou Hao's nonchalant smile and scolded in her heart. Of course it's you. Who else can it be other than you? Of course, she would not say those words out loud. Instead, she said, where are we going next? Go home? Of course not. It's so early. What are we going back for? Zhou Hao smiled and said, let's have a taste of the nightlife here in Hong Kong. Do you know where there's a disco or something like that? Yes, I do, but I can't go to the disco like this. Su Lin looked at her dress and said, that's true. Zhou Hao laughed. It would be inappropriate for Su Lin to go to the disco in such a gorgeous evening dress. Therefore, the two of them went back to the mountain and waited for Su Lin to change into a simple and generous t-shirt and jeans. Zhou Hao drove the black Porsche with Su Lin to a disco called Green BX in Gong Bay. It was past 9 o'clock in the evening, and disco was already packed with people. The dark space was shaking with lasers and the loud music. Many young people were crazily twisting their bodies on the dance floor, and everywhere was filled with the restless scent of youth. This was the first time Zhou Hao and Su Lin had come to disco. Not long after they came in, they were infected by the lively music here, and their bodies couldn't help but tremble. Zhou Hao casually took 2 glasses of wine from a waiter's plate and passed one of them to Su Lin. He didn't care what kind of wine it was and drank it. After that, Zhou Hao took Su Lin to the crowded dance floor and started to dance with the music. The biggest advantage of disco was that they could dance without any restraint. They did not need to pay attention to any steps. They just needed to dance according to their own thoughts. Moreover, the frustration in its heart would also dissipate along with the rhythm of the dance. The surroundings were very crowded, so Su Lin and Zhou Hao were very close to each other. Later, Su Lin placed her hand on Zhou Hao's shoulder. This is my first time coming to disco. How about you? Because the volume of the music was very loud, Su Lin had to whisper into Zhou Hao's ear. Being so close to Zhou Hao also made Su Lin's face turn red and her heart beat fast. Luckily, the environment here was dark and no one else could see it. Me too, but this place is pretty good. Zhou Hao's voice was very soft, but it clearly reached Su Lin's ears. Suddenly, a pair of men and women who were dancing behind Su Lin stepped back and bumped into Su Lin, making Su Lin also involuntarily jump forward. Be careful. Zhou Hao's strong and broad chest coincidentally provided Su Lin with a safe haven. Su Lin bumped into Zhou Hao's arms and her heart jumped even faster, but she also enjoyed this rare opportunity to get close to him. Her face was pressed against Zhou Hao's chest. Although the music around her was loud, Zhou Hao's strong heartbeat was clearly heard by her. Are you all right? Zhou Hao did not know that Su Lin was taking the opportunity to take advantage of him, so he helped her up and asked. Su Lin came back to her senses and gently shook her head. Her eyes showed that she was not satisfied. After going crazy in discovery for a while, it was already past 11 o'clock at night when the two of them came out. The rich dinner from before was also almost digested in this intense exercise. Su Lin touched her flat stomach and said to Zhou Hao, I'm hungry. Let's find a place to eat. Sure. Zhou Hao answered happily and took Su Lin to find a supper to eat. In the car, Su Lin said to Zhou Hao, I have heard that there is a big stall behind Yangon department store. It tastes very good. I've never had the chance to try it before. Let's go there and try it this time. Thus, Zhou Hao followed Su Lin to the big stall behind the Yangon department store. Compared to those star hotels and high-end Western restaurants, this stall called Rong's Record was naturally very simple and crude. However, just by looking at it, Zhou Hao could feel the thick atmosphere of the people in Hong Kong. He thought that this was the real restaurant. Zhou Hao put the car aside and sat at one of the tables outside the food stall with Su Lin. There were many guests visiting this honor record. Most of them were citizens above 40 years old. It seemed that they were all regular customers. A young man with a bare upper body and only a pair of jeans placed 2 empty cups in front of Zhou Hao and Su Lin and poured hot tea for them skillfully. Then he asked the two of them, "What do you want to eat? What signature dishes do you have here? Can you introduce them?" Zhou Hao said with a smile. The young man grinned. "We have a lot of signature dishes here. We cooked the coriander with soy sauce, the sedative shrimp with chili salt, the chili crab in the wind shelter, the beef meatballs with river flour, and the beef meatballs with our own hands. It definitely has a good taste." Zhou Hao said, "Then let's have 1 serving of each dish and a bottle of beer." After the young man left, Su Lin said to Zhou Hao in annoyance, "Why did you drink again? It's not good for your health." "Of course we are here to drink beer, otherwise it would be boring." Zhou Hao's smile was still very bright. "Be careful, I will tell Ruolin. Ruolin told me to keep an eye on you," Su Lin said with a faint smile. At that moment, Zhou Hao saw 2 black Mercedes-Benz cars slowly coming from a distance. They stopped on the street on the right side of the stall. Then, a few men got off the 2 Mercedes-Benz cars. There were a total of 5 men. The man in the middle, who was in his 40s and was dressed in a proper suit, was obviously their leader. Zhou Hao was stunned when he saw the man, because he immediately recognized the man. What flashed in his mind was not his real name, but the name of his character in a series of movies, Dragon 5. Back then, gamble gods had been famous all over Hong Kong, Macau, and China. Apart from the gamble god in the movie, Zhou Ruinfa had attracted thousands of gazes. In the movie, Dragon 5, who was serious and did his best to protect Zhou Ruinfa, had also left a deep impression on the audience. In fact, the actor of this Dragon 5 was Xiang Huaqiang. Xiang Huaqiang was a tycoon in Hong Kong's entertainment industry. Yongsheng, Star of China, and 100-Year Film Company were all his companies. At the same time, he was also the leader of the biggest gang organization in Hong Kong, Xian. Xiang Huaqiang's father was a major general of the National People's Party. Later, he came to Hong Kong and used Ian as a cover, and later developed into the largest gang organization in Hong Kong. Xiang Huaqiang and his brother, Huasheng, controlled almost the entire Hong Kong movie market. More than half of the movie stars in Hong Kong had connections with them or were directly controlled by them. The Hong Kong artistes had many demonstrations against the gangs infiltrating the entertainment industry. In Zhou Hao's opinion, most of the artistes did this because there was a conflict of interest between them and the gangs. Many movie stars and singers wanted to establish their own family after being praised by the big shots. Of course, the big shots were unwilling, so they would often take revenge on these celebrities who had disloyal thoughts. Among the celebrities who had a close relationship with Xian, the most famous ones were Zhou Ruinfa and Zhou Xingqi. It was rumored that Zhou Xingqi had applied to migrate to Canada several times, but he was rejected by the authorities on the grounds that he was suspected to be a member of the gangs. And this Xiang Huaqiang, who was influential in Hong Kong's entertainment industry and the underworld, had actually appeared in front of Zhou Hao. Xiang Huaqiang walked towards the food stall with his 4 subordinates, and those old masters who were eating supper saw him. Unlike the ordinary citizens who were afraid of gangs, they greeted him warmly and called him fifth brother. Xiang Huaqiang also nodded at the old customers. The boss of Rong's Record, a man in his 60s, also quickly came out and said enthusiastically to Xiang Huaqiang, "Fifth brother, there's a seat inside. Come inside." "No need. I'll just stay outside," Xiang Huaqiang said lightly, then sat at the table next to Zhou Hao. His subordinates also poured tea and water for him. The boss smiled and said, "Same old rules. Pepper salt, sedative prawns, dried beef liver, and a bottle of raw beer." Seeing Xiang Huaqiang nod his head, the boss immediately went in to prepare for him. At this time, the bare-chested young man just now was carrying a bottle of raw beer. A plate of salt sidi was being served. Zhou Hao and the others walked over. "Customer, your sedative prawns," the young man said with a smile. But just as he was about to place the plate of pepper salt Reiko prawns on Zhou Hao's table, one of Xiang Huaqiang's men beside him shouted, "Hey, bring it here first." The young man looked at the man hesitantly and said, "But, it's this guest who first." However, he heard the anger on the man's face. "Didn't you hear what I said? I said bring it over here first." Seeing the young man still hesitating, the man suddenly stood up. "Sit down." Xiang Huaqiang's voice was slightly hoarse. His tone was very calm, but there was an invisible power in it. When the man heard Xiang Huaqiang's words, he immediately didn't dare to say anything. He just sat down quietly. Xiang Huaqiang also showed a smile to the young man. "Ah Chong, it's fine. Give it to them first." Obviously, Xiang Huaqiang was also a regular customer here. He knew that young man's name was Ah Chong. Ah Chong smiled and nodded. "Thank you, fifth brother." He placed the plate of salt, sidi, and prawns on Zhou Hao's table. Zhou Hao looked at Xiang Huaqiang and saw Xiang Huaqiang looking in his direction as well. He smiled and said, "Sorry, my men were rude. It was my fault for not disciplining them properly." "Don't worry about it," Zhou Hao replied with a smile. At this time, Ah Chong brought Zhou Hao another beer. After pouring a glass, Zhou Hao raised his glass to Xiang Huaqiang. Xiang Huaqiang replied with a smile and said lightly, "You are not a local, right?" "From the Xiang city of Guangdong." Zhou Hao smiled, secretly praising Xiang Huaqiang for his sharp eyesight. Although he spoke Cantonese very well, he could still tell that he was not a local from Hong Kong with just a glance. Zhou Hao also felt that Xiang Huaqiang, who was sitting there quietly eating supper, looked like an ordinary middle-aged man. If it wasn't because he was too famous in Hong Kong, no one would have thought that his subordinates would have thought of that. He was the leader of a huge gang. Su Lin, who was beside him, also turned to look at Xiang Huaqiang and asked Zhou Hao, "Who is that person? You seem to know him?" "Not really." Zhou Hao smiled and said, "You must have never seen The Gamble God that Zhou Ruinfa starred in." Su Lin shook her head. "No, I am not. I am so busy with my studies and work. I rarely have time to watch movies." "No wonder you don't know. That person is a very famous character in Gamble God. His name is Dragon 5. Zhou Hao explained to Su Lin, "Didn't you hear those people call him Fifth Brother? Maybe that's the reason. Apart from that, he's also the boss of the biggest club in Hong Kong, New Ian. In Hong Kong, and even in the underworld of Asia, it can be said that everyone knows about him." Su Lin was very surprised when she heard that Xiang Huaqiang was the leader of the biggest gang in Hong Kong. At the same time, she could not help but feel worried. After all, after coming to Hong Kong, she had already seen the real gangs. Fang Bingrun and his subordinates gave her a very bad impression. "You don't have to worry about that. We didn't provoke him, so nothing will happen to us. Besides, I don't think he is that kind of unreasonable person," Zhou Hao said with a smile. At the same time, he saw that Su Lin had no idea what to do with the prawn in her bowl. Zhou Hao knew that she had never eaten the prawn before, so he smiled and took the prawn over to help Su Lin peel off the shell of the prawn. Seeing Zhou Hao skillfully peel out the complete prawn meat and place it in her bowl, Su Lin suddenly felt very happy. She heard Zhou Hao say again, "You are lucky today. This is the first time I peeled the shell of a woman." What Zhou Hao said was a joke, but Su Lin's heart was so sweet that it overflowed with honey. In a trance, she wanted to pour herself a cup of beer. But Zhou Hao reached out his hand to stop her. "Don't drink beer while eating the seedy prawns. It is easy to have diarrhea like this. Buddy, bring me a bottle of soda." "What about you? Aren't you afraid of diarrhea when you drink beer?" Su Lin was also very concerned about Zhou Hao. "I have a strong body. I am not afraid of this." Zhou Hao smiled. At this time, Xiang Huaqiang suddenly said to Zhou Hao, "Little brother, are you interested in drinking with me?" "Sure." Zhou Hao agreed without thinking and walked over with Su Lin. Xiang Huaqiang's men immediately pulled chairs for Zhou Hao and Su Lin and moved their dishes to the table. "Little brother, what's your name?" Xiang Huaqiang asked Zhou Hao. "My surname is Zhou. You can just call me Zhou Hao. This is my secretary, Su Lin." Su Lin smiled and nodded at Xiang Huaqiang. Xiang Huaqiang also smiled. He did not need to introduce himself because Zhou Hao's expression clearly showed that he knew him. Xiang Huaqiang was also a little surprised by Su Lin's beauty. In all these years, there were countless female stars that he had promoted, but there were few that could be compared to Su Lin. "Zhou Hao, this is your first time coming to Hong Kong, right?" Xiang Huaqiang clinked glasses with Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao nodded, "Yes, I am here to do some business." "Mr. Chong, how did you know?" "Hee. Because you are not as impetuous as Hong Kong people." Xiang Huaqiang explained with a smile. "Hong Kong people your age are all busy with school, work, and having fun. Even when walking normally, they are faster than people from other places. Most of the Hong Kong people are busy, so there aren't many of them who are restless and busy. I saw that you were so relaxed, so I guess that you are not a Hong Kong native." Hearing what Xiang Huaqiang said, Zhou Hao knew that after living in Hong Kong for so many years, he had a clear understanding of the lifestyle of Hong Kong people. "Do you often come here for supper?" Zhou Hao asked. Xiang Huaqiang nodded slightly and looked back at the very old signboard of the Rong's record. He said, This is a big stall. It was opened when I was young. At that time, my father would bring us brothers here for supper every day after work. After growing up, there would be many things to be busy with. Fortunately, everything was on track now. That's why I'll be back when I have time. His tone was slightly emotional. After so many years, Hong Kong has been changing every day. Except for the sedative shrimp and river powder here, the taste has not changed. It seems like Mr. Duan is a nostalgic person. Xiang Huaqiang looked at Zhou Hao with a smile. There are many people who say that I am greedy for new things and forget old things, including my wife. Zhou Hao smiled and said, I think it doesn't matter if men are greedy for new things. The most important thing is not to forget old things. What you said is very suitable for me. Come, for this saying that greed doesn't forget the old, let's have a drink. Xiang Huaqiang patted Zhou Hao's shoulder and raised his glass. Okay. Zhou Hao also raised his glass and clinked it with Xiang Huaqiang's. After that, the two chatted happily. Xiang Huaqiang did not mention anything about Xian or other gangs. He only talked about the changes in Hong Kong over the past few decades. He pointed in different directions and told Zhou Hao how many years ago it was a family selling dragon sugar. Years ago, there was a family selling cotton wool. Seeing that the place Xiang Huaqiang pointed at had either become a commercial building or a residential area, Zhou Hao could feel that this man who had been involved in the underworld was actually hiding a lot of vicissitudes in his heart. Zhou Hao had also told Xiang Huaqiang about the changes in the country. His attitude and feelings towards life had long surpassed his real age. That was why he had a feeling of mutual understanding with Xiang Huaqiang. At this moment, Zhou Hao had a feeling in his heart. He instinctively looked behind him. He saw a man wearing a windbreaker on the right side of the stall. He was holding a black gun in his hand, and the gun was aimed at Xiang Huaqiang, who was beside him. The moment Zhou Hao turned around, the man had already pulled the trigger. Zhou Hao could also see a ball of fire shooting out of the gun. Be careful. Zhou Hao's shout sounded almost at the same time as the gunshot. He immediately pushed Xiang Huaqiang to the side. Although Zhou Hao reacted in time to avoid Xiang Huaqiang's fatal point, the bullet grazed Xiang Huaqiang's neck and hurt him. The man saw that he did not kill Xiang Huaqiang with one shot, so he did not give up and shot several more times. At this time, Xiang Huaqiang's subordinates had already reacted. They immediately used their bodies to protect Xiang Huaqiang. Some of the shots landed on the ground beside them, while others landed on the shoulders of two of them. However, none of them were fatal injuries. When the surrounding customers heard the gunshots, they instinctively scattered to escape. When they saw that the man was still there, they wanted to shoot Xiang Huaqiang. Zhou Hao protected Su Lin behind him as he picked up a bamboo chopsticks from the table and threw it at the man. The man screamed in pain. His wrist was pierced by the chopsticks Zhou Hao threw out and the gun in his hand fell off. Seeing that things were not going to work out, the man immediately turned around and ran. Zhou Hao wanted to chase after him, but he was afraid that he had accomplices, which would put Su Lin and Xiang Huaqiang in danger. So he stayed here and didn't get up. The man covered his injured right hand and quickly ran towards a red Toyota sedan on the side of the street. However, when he opened the car door and was about to enter, he heard a loud explosion. The small car actually had a violent explosion. The huge explosion caused the entire car to bounce off the ground. Scorching flames instantly spewed out from the car. The man had no time to dodge at all. He was blasted into pieces on the spot. Blood and flesh spread in all directions, along with the rolling heat waves. The explosion lit up the entire street. The windows of the surrounding cars were shattered. Luckily, Zhou Hao and the others were quite far away, so they were not affected. At this moment, Xiang Huaqiang's subordinates also stood up. Zhou Hao saw Xiang Huaqiang, who was protected by them in the middle, had an unusually pale face. The wound on his neck was continuously gushing out blood. The large amount of blood made Xiang Huaqiang's footsteps unsteady. The subordinates beside him noticed his unusual behavior. They hurriedly helped him up, but when they saw his suit that had been dyed red with blood, they anxiously shouted, "Boss! Boss, what's wrong? Let me see. His carotid artery has been torn by a bullet," Zhou Hao said with a serious expression. What? What should we do? Xiang Huaqiang's men immediately panicked. If anything happened to Xiang Huaqiang, the club would not let them go. Xiang Huaqiang's men were usually fierce fighters. However, they were now in a state of panic when faced with such a critical situation. The two men who were shot in the arm seemed to have forgotten the pain. They all looked at Zhou Hao, treating him as their life-saving straw. Hurry up and let Mr. Song lie down. Be careful. Also, call an ambulance, Zhou Hao said to them. They immediately did what Zhou Hao said. Zhou Hao looked at Xiang Huaqiang and found that he was in shock because of the large amount of blood. Zhou Hao immediately pressed a few major acupoints on Xiang Huaqiang's body to stop the blood that kept gushing out. At the same time, he put his hand on Xiang Huaqiang's chest and slowly injected genuine auras into it to protect his life. When those people saw that Xiang Huaqiang's originally pale face had slowly recovered some color under Zhou Hao's help, their hearts relaxed a little. If Xiang Huaqiang really lost his life under their protection, they believed that they would also be afraid of being buried with him. My life is saved, but I still need to be treated in time, Zhou Hao said. Su Lin still had a lingering fear of the sudden change. Her delicate body was still trembling slightly. She could only tightly grab Zhou Hao's arm to feel a sense of security. At this moment, the sound of police cars and ambulance came from the streets outside. More than 10 police cars and 3 ambulances quickly turned into this street. Following them were several vans with the words "a certain newspaper" printed on them. They were reporters who had received the news and came to report. This sudden accident, especially the explosion just now, had caused several citizens to be injured by the broken glass fragments, not counting the people in the houses on both sides of the street who had been injured by their own glass windows. When the paramedics pulled the stretcher towards Zhou Hao said to Xiang Huaqiang's 2 uninjured subordinates, "You guys go and block the reporters. Don't let them know that there is Mr. Xiang among the injured." He already knew that the incident this time was obviously an assassination attempt against Xiang Huaqiang. Moreover, the gunman was killed by the explosion. It was obvious that the person behind the scene wanted to silence them. If the news of Xiang Huaqiang's injuries were to spread, the underworld in Hong Kong would definitely stir up huge waves. Xiang Huaqiang's 2 subordinates were not as far-reaching as Zhou Hao thought. It was just that Zhou Hao had been calm and composed ever since the incident happened. He subconsciously listened to Zhou Hao. A few paramedics carried the unconscious Xiang Huaqiang onto the stretcher. Zhou Hao also said, "Let's go together." The doctor frowned at Zhou Hao. "Who are you people?" "We are his friends." "We are friends," the doctor said. The doctor hesitated for a moment and nodded. He asked Zhou Hao and Su Lin to sit in the back of the ambulance. Xiang Huaqiang's 2 subordinates who had been shot were in another ambulance. As for the scene of the accident, it had already been locked up by a large number of police. On the ambulance, the doctor and a few paramedics were busy bandaging Xiang Huaqiang. Looking at the wound on Xiang Huaqiang's neck, the doctor frowned and said, "His carotid artery is ruptured, but why is the blood stopped?" He had been a doctor for many years and knew that it was very difficult to stop bleeding from a wound like a carotid artery rupture. If the rescue was not timely, the injured person would easily die from blood loss. Could it be that the blood has already dried up? The doctor muttered to himself, but when he saw that although Xiang Huaqiang was in a coma, he clearly still had a strong life force, he rejected this idea. He could only bandage Xiang Huaqiang's wound with this doubt. Zhou Hao, who was beside him, naturally would not say that Xiang Huaqiang turning the crisis into safety was his own credit. He wanted to explain to these medical staff who advocated Western science about the strike the acupoint and Qigong. The degree of difficulty was no less than making them believe in the existence of gods and ghosts. On the way to the hospital, Zhou Hao also called Zheng Yingpei. "Xiao Hao, what's the matter?" "Uncle Pei is busy." Zheng Yingpei's hurried voice came through the phone. Zhou Hao could still hear the noise around him. Zhou Hao said, "Uncle Pei, are you busy with what happened at Yangon department store? You also know? Did you see it on the news?" Zheng Yingpei asked doubtfully. "No, I was there at that time, and I saw what happened." Therefore, Zhou Hao told Zheng Yingpei in detail what happened just now. "I am now going to the hospital with Xiang Huaqiang." Zheng Yingpei did not expect Zhou Hao to be at the scene of the explosion, and he was also one of the people involved in this incident. According to what Zhou Hao said, the target of the enemy was Xiang Huaqiang. If this was true, then things are complicated this time. Especially now that it was a sensitive period like the day before their return, any incident could have different degrees of impact on their return. "Xiao Hao, are you and Su Lin all right?" Since Zhou Hao said that Xiang Huaqiang's life was no longer in danger, Zheng Yingpei started to care about Zhou Hao and Su Lin. Zhou Hao said, "We are fine." Su Lin was just a little shocked. He looked at Su Lin, who was beside him. Seeing that she still looked scared, he reached out and held her in his arms. He patted her on the shoulder to comfort her. Su Lin looked deeply at Zhou Hao. Seeing his warm and caring eyes, she felt the fear and uneasiness in her heart disappear in an instant. Leaning in Zhou Hao's arms also made her feel a genuine sense of security. Together with the unconscious Xiang Huaqiang, Zhou Hao and the others came to Hong Kong's Margari Hospital. Xiang Huaqiang was sent to the emergency room. Zhou Hao and Su Lin were waiting outside for news since they were not injured. Not long after, a large group of people rushed to the hospital. These people were dressed differently, but they also had worried and anxious expressions on their faces. Zhou Hao could sense a faint hostility from these people. He knew that these people must be the members of New Ian, who came to visit Xiang Huaqiang. The two people in the front were a middle-aged man who looked somewhat similar to Xiang Huaqiang. There was also a middle-aged woman who looked graceful and heroic despite her young age. Zhou Hao had also guessed the identities of these two men. They were obviously Xiang Huaqiang's brother, Xiang Huasheng, and Xiang Huaqiang's wife, Li Lan. Once they came in, Xiang Huasheng grabbed a doctor who had just come out of the operating theater and shouted, "Doctor, how is my brother? How's my brother?" The doctor was also shocked by this group of aggressive gangsters. He quickly said, "The patient is still in surgery, but his life is no longer in danger. You can rest assured." When they heard the doctor's words, both Huasheng and Li Lan heaved a long sigh of relief. Then, Zhou Huasheng grabbed the doctor and asked loudly, "What exactly is going on? How did my brother end up like this? Who murdered my brother?" After saying that, he clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. "If I find out who dared to touch my brother, I will make sure he dies without a complete corpse." We are not sure either. We are only responsible for treating the wounded." Perhaps because he was afraid of the hostility coming from Huasheng, the doctor immediately pointed at Zhou Hao, who was sitting outside, and said, You can ask them. They came with the injured. They said they were friends of the injured." The core members of Xian, including Lian Hua, looked at Zhou Hao and Su Lin, but their eyes were not very friendly. Immediately, Xiang Huasheng and a few people from Xian walked over in a fierce manner. The few big brothers of Xian even glared at Zhou Hao and Su Lin, as if they were the culprits who caused Xiang Huaqiang to become like this. They were afraid of their imposing manner. Su Lin subconsciously shrank towards Zhou Hao and reached out to grab Zhou Hao's arm. When Zhou Hao saw the expression on their faces, he was also annoyed. He thought to himself, "I have saved your boss, but you still don't know how to vent your anger on me?" Therefore, Zhou Hao slightly activated the genuine aura and shouted, "All of you, calm down." In fact, Zhou Hao's voice was not loud. The doctors and patients in the distance did not feel anything out of the ordinary. However, when they faced Zhou Hao directly, they were greatly shocked. They only felt pain in their eardrums and their heads swelling. They could not help but stop walking and even take 2 steps back. After being in the underworld for so many years, he also knew that some extraordinary people had profound inner force skills. Zhou Hao's soft shout had stunned these people who had been through a lot of bloodshed. Obviously, they were not ordinary people. However, a tall man in his 40s beside him did not understand these things. He only felt that his head was dizzy from Zhou Hao's roar. He did not get angry, so he cursed in a rough voice. "Kid, you are tired of living. Do you know that we are from the Nuian? How the F***ck do you dare to yell at us like that?" After saying that, he wanted to go forward and beat up Zhou Hao. Duan Huasheng hurriedly raised his hand to stop him, and Li Lan also walked over. "Sang Biao, don't be rash." Li Lan nodded slightly at Zhou Hao. "Hello, my name is Li Lan. The doctor just now said that the two of you came together with my husband. May I ask what happened just now?" Compared to the burly men like Sheng Hua and Sang Biao, Li Lan was much more polite. Zhou Hao also had a certain understanding of Li Lan. She was Xiang Huaqiang's second wife, and she had been by Xiang Huaqiang's side for dozens of years. She also had 2 sons, and had always maintained the position of the madam. She also had a high position in the society, and many people called her Big Sis. Since Li Lan was Xiang Huaqiang's wife, Zhou Hao did not want to hide it from her and told her what had happened. When he heard what Zhou Hao said, he raised his eyebrows. "You mean this is an assassination against my brother?" Zhou Hao shrugged his shoulders and said, "That's possible." Duan Huasheng cursed. Sang Biao, inform the fat guy from East Star and the 14K machine gun and tell them to come over immediately. Li Lan said to the furious Sheng Hua, "Sheng, don't be so impulsive. Do you want to mess up Hong Kong completely? Sister-in-law, they have already bullied us. Are we not going to do anything? Then how can we, Xi and Ian, mingle around in the future?" It was still difficult for his anger to subside. Out of the dozen or so brothers in the family, he had the deepest relationship with Xiang Huaqiang. When he heard that Xiang Huaqiang had been sent to the hospital, he would rather be the one lying on the operating table right now. The other core members of Xi and Ian also responded to Xiang Huaqiang's words and advocated to settle the score with the culprit behind the scene. "I'm not saying that I won't do anything, but now, can we be sure who wants to harm Huaqiang?" Li Lan said with a solemn expression. "If we recklessly fire everywhere, It will only make our Nguyen be surrounded by enemies. It will only make the person behind the scenes who is trying to harm us even happier. She sighed. Now, let's wait for Hua Chong to wake up first. Also, remember to take care of your own people. Don't let them act recklessly. She and Xiang Huaqiang had made their stance clear to the country a while ago, saying that they would support Hong Kong's prosperity and stability. In order to appease them, the domestic side might have made some favorable conditions. If Xian became chaotic at this time, it would probably become the first club in Hong Kong to be destroyed after the return of Hong Kong. Under Li Lan's persuasion, most of the people from Xian had left. However, Cheng Huaxing and more than 20 of his subordinates were left behind. Because he was afraid that Xiang Huaqiang would be attacked again, he stayed here to protect Xiang Huaqiang and Li Lan. At this time, Li Lan smiled at Zhou Hao and Su Lin. Speaking of which, I still have to thank you. It was all thanks to you that my husband was able to keep his life. We, Xian, will never forget this favor of yours. Madam, you're being too serious. Zhou Hao said lightly, I did not save you for your Xian to repay you. Madam, you do not need to take it to heart. He looked at the clock on the wall and found out. It was already past 2 o'clock in the morning. He said, it's getting late now. Since Mr. C's life is no longer in danger, then we'll leave it. Li Lan said, although you two do not wish to repay your kindness, our family is not an ungrateful person. Also, after my husband wakes up, he will probably want to thank you in person. Why don't you leave your phone number? Zhou Hao nodded, and Su Lin, who was beside him, immediately handed Zhou Hao's business card to Li Lan. After Zhou Hao and Su Lin left, Xiang Huaxing asked Li Lan, sister-in-law, who are these two people? I have never heard of them, especially that Zhou Hao. I think he seems to have martial arts. Li Lan frowned as well. I've never heard of them either. Shang, send 2 people to follow them and find out who they are. Also, don't let them find out. They saved your big brother's life after all. At least on the surface, we can't be rude. Got it, sister-in-law. Duan Huaxing nodded and replied. Zhou Hao and Su Lin had asked one of Xiang Huaqiang's uninjured subordinates to help him drive the Porsche that was parked at the entrance of the stall before they came to the hospital. Therefore, it was very convenient for Zhou Hao to leave. However, before he walked out of the hospital, Zhou Hao's phone rang. It was Zhang Yingpei who called. Xiao Hao, are you still in the hospital? Is Xiang Huaqiang all right? The surgery has been completed. He's fine. Zhou Hao replied, Uncle Pei, you are still investigating this matter. Have you made any progress? I was just about to tell you about this. Can you come to my house now? Zhang Yingpei said over the phone. Sure, I'll come over now. Zhou Hao said. Su Lin, who was beside him, asked, are you going to Chief Zhang's house now? Zhou Hao nodded. Why don't I send you back first? It's so late and you might be tired. Su Lin shook her head gently. I'm not tired. I'll go with you. That's good. In this situation, I won't be at ease leaving you alone at home. Zhou Hao said. Su Lin was very touched after hearing Zhou Hao's words, but when she saw Zhou Hao's heroic face, she quickly lowered her head, afraid that he would see her embarrassment. When Zhou Hao drove out of the hospital in his car, he immediately found a white Ling Ji car hanging behind him. It was obviously following him. There was no need to think too much about it. Zhou Hao also guessed that it must be someone from Xian. Originally, Zhou Hao wanted to shake them off. But after thinking about it, Zhou Hao pretended not to notice them and headed towards Zhang Yingpei's house openly. Although Zhang Yingpei's residence was a government subsidy, it was also an independent small building that could be seen from afar. The people of the Black and White Dao knew that this was the residence of Zhang Yingpei, the second brother of the police force. When Zhou Hao's Porsche drove into Zhang Yingpei's house, the 2 people who were sent by Xiang Huaxiang to follow him were stunned and immediately called him to report. What? They went to Zhang Yingpei's house. When he received the call from his subordinate, he was also dumbfounded. Are you sure you didn't see wrongly? Is that really Zhang Yingpei's home? Li Lan, who was beside him, immediately said to him, ask them to come back immediately. If Zhang Yingpei's men find out, it will be terrible. Xiang Huaxing nodded and shouted over the phone, all of you, come back immediately. Don't let Zhang Yingpei's men find out. After putting down the phone, he looked at Li Lan in shock. Sister-in-law, could it be that Zhou Hao is a police officer? Have you ever seen such a young police officer enter Zhang Yingpei's house? Li Lan replied. And I don't think he looks like a policeman. He just has a deep relationship with Zhang Yingpei. However, Zhang Yingpei should be investigating Hua Chong right now. Why would he have time to meet guests? She said to Hua Chong, disperse your men immediately. You must find out who that Zhou Hao is as soon as possible. We will also ask around in the country. I heard the accent of the woman beside him. She doesn't seem to be a local from Hong Kong. After C.I. Huasheng left, Li Lan looked at the unconscious Xiang Huaqiang who was lying on the hospital bed. She said with a worried look on her face, "Huaqiang, I have a very bad feeling. I hope it doesn't come true. Quickly wake up." On the other side, Zhou Hao and Su Lin came to Zheng Yingpei's house and saw that there were many other people in the house. Some were dressed in casual clothes, and some were wearing police uniforms. And looking at their ranks, it seemed that none of the people present were below the rank of a police officer. "This is Zhou Hao, a nephew of mine. He was at the scene of the explosion just now, and he was the one who saved Xiang Huaqiang." Zheng Yingpei introduced Zhou Hao to the policemen present. When the policemen heard that Zhou Hao was Zheng Yingpei's nephew, they quickly greeted him. Zheng Yingpei pointed to a middle-aged man sitting on the sofa and introduced him to Zhou Hao. "This is Chief Police Officer Qin Shuhua, who is in charge of organized crime and triad investigation. This is Tang, who is in charge of criminal intelligence. He actually contacted the police." Zhou Hao shook hands with the two of them. He knew that this was the Organized Crime and Triad Investigation Department. It was an organization, which was often heard in television dramas. It was also a police organization that was in charge of investigating triad and triad crime. Qin Shuhua smiled at Zhou Hao and said, "Those guys really don't let people live. They even caused such a thing in the middle of the night." There were two faint dark circles under his eyes on his face. Clearly, he had been pulled out of bed in the middle of the night. Zheng Yingpei said to Zhou Hao, "Now we mainly want to know what happened at that time. You can tell everyone in detail." Therefore, Zhou Hao once again recounted what happened at the Rong's record. After that, Qin Shuhua said, "Now we can conclude that this is an assassination against Xiang Huaqiang. Furthermore, the mastermind of this assassination is clearly intent on silencing us." On the other side, Tang Tong, who was in charge of the Criminal Intelligence Department, said, "We have already confirmed the identity of that shooter. When the explosion happened, he was blown to pieces on the spot, but his head was well preserved. Also, we found his finger at the scene. According to his appearance and fingerprints, this person is a local citizen of Hong Kong. His name is Gao Wintao." After listening to Tang Tongtong's explanation and seeing Zheng Yingpei and the other solemn expressions, Zhou Hao knew that the key to this matter was Gao Wintao. Thus, he asked, "Is there a problem with Gao Wintao?" Zheng Yingpei nodded. "That's right. This Gao Wintao is a red stick from the East Star." Zhou Hao had seen some gangster movies before. He knew that Red Stick was a thug in a gang. He was usually the leader of a small gang in charge of a certain section of the road. The most powerful gold medal hired thug in the gang was known as the Red Stick with two flowers. And now, the one who wanted to kill Xiang Huaqiang was the Red Stick from the East Star Alliance. Then the spearhead would go straight to the Alliance. Zhou Hao had heard from Zhang Yingpei that the Alliance did not approach the country like Xian did. Instead, they acted as they always did, and even took advantage of the time when Xian and 14K restrained themselves to expand. If the people of Xian found out that the person who wanted to kill Xiang Huaqiang was Gao Wintao, they would definitely seek revenge from the Union Society. At that time, Hong Kong's underworld would definitely set off a bloody storm. Zhou Hao asked, "Is that confirmed to be the Allied Association's doing?" He thought that this matter should not have been done by the association. If the association or Fang Bingrun really wanted to kill Xiang Huaqiang, they would not let the members of the association carry out the task. They did not need to kill him to silence him. They had made the matter so serious. However, Zhou Hao's intuition also felt that this matter was not that simple. He heard Zheng Yingpei say, "When I confirmed that the person was Gao Wintao, I had already called Fang Bingrun." Hearing Zheng Yingpei's words, Zhou Hao asked, "Then what is his reaction?" Zheng Yingpei shook his head. He was shocked when he heard that Xiang Huaqiang was attacked. When I told him that the shooter was Gao Wintao, his reaction was very big. He immediately swore that it was not him who ordered it. Now, he had the people of East Star wake up. They were afraid that Xian would take revenge on them. Zheng Yingpei looked at Zhou Hao and said, "That is why I think that Bing Runyi is not the culprit behind Xiang Huaqiang's death." Tang Tong, who was smoking, frowned and said, "But even if this wasn't done by Old Fatty, Gao Wintao is a member of the East Star. They have nothing to do with it. If the people of New Ian knew that person was Gao Wintao, humph, the total number of people in both of their clubs is more than the police in Hong Kong. We can't hold them back. I do hope that Hong Kong can return soon. When the Liberation Army comes, we'll see if they dare to be so arrogant again." Ignoring Tang Tong's complaints, Zheng Yingpei said with a solemn expression, "So our police have strictly protected Gao Wintao's body and temporarily sealed off the news. But I don't think paper can cover fire. The people of New Eon will find out sooner or later. Zhou Hao also fell into deep thought. Although Xian Eon was a patriot gang that had expressed their stance to the domestic side, they had also promised that the domestic side would support the policy of coordinating with Hong Kong's prosperity and stability. But if this matter were to spread, even if Xiang Huaqiang himself did not want to pursue the matter, it was not up to him to decide. This was because he didn't represent himself, but Xian Eon. In order to give his subordinates an explanation, even if Xiang Huaqiang wasn't willing, he would still take measures against them. In addition, the New Union Society and the New Union Society had been enemies for decades. They had always disliked each other. If the two biggest gangs in Hong Kong were to fight openly, they were afraid that they would really need to send out troops to calm the situation down. Now we have already sent out all our informants to investigate who the mastermind is, Qin Shuhua said. Zheng Yingpei stroked his chin. I have a suspicion now. Will the British come up with this? When he said this, everyone's face changed. If what Zheng Yingpei said was true, then this matter really involved the British. This was not just a matter of the underworld. It might even develop into an international dispute. I think this might not be too big, Zhou Hao suddenly said. Everyone's eyes were focused on Zhou Hao. Zheng Yingpei also said, Xiao Hao, why do you say that? Uncle Pei, you told me before. During this period of time, those British people told you not to get too close to what happened with Lian and Club, which means that they are deliberately conniving with gangs like Lian and Club who are unwilling to cooperate. Zhou Hao explained. However, I think that they are probably just playing rogue and making China lose face in this aspect. But ordering the Union Society to kill Xiang Huaqiang, this is too much. If the New Eon Society, the New England Society, and even the entire Hong Kong underworld are involved in a chaotic war, then the shame will be that they have not returned to Hong Kong yet. I think the British will not do something that will cause them to suffer such losses. After hearing Zhou Hao's words, Zheng Yingpei and the others felt that it made a lot of sense. They had been with the British for so many years, and they knew that the British were rarely so stupid. They only did things that were not worth it. Xiao Hao, who do you think will be the mastermind behind this? Zheng Yingpei asked. Zhou Hao shook his head and said, I don't have any thoughts for now, but I can find out who will benefit from this. Zheng Yingpei nodded and said to Qin Shuhua and the others, Everyone, this is a matter of great importance. Please work hard. After discussing with Zheng Yingpei and the other high-ranking police officers for a long time, it was already past 4 o'clock in the morning. Su Lin, on the other hand, had been accompanying Zhou Hao the whole time. She even bought hot coffee for Zhou Hao from time to time. She was really considerate. Zheng Yingpei and the others still had to fight all night, and they were not willing to let Zhou Hao accompany them anymore. Zheng Yingpei let Zhou Hao go back first. He personally sent Zhou Hao out of the house. Xiao Hao, you saved Xiang Huaqiang. According to his personality, he will definitely be very grateful to you. He could make friends with Xiang Huaqiang. Compared to Fang Bingrun, he was still considered a man. However, you just need to be friends with him. Don't touch his illegal stuff. Understood, Uncle Pei. I know what to do. Zhou Hao thanked Zheng Yingpei for his reminder. It was almost 5 o'clock by the time they drove back to the mansion. Zhou Hao was lying on the soft sofa as soon as he entered the house. He said, I didn't expect so many things to happen during supper. It's so tiring. Actually, with his martial arts and physique, it was not that he was really tired. It was just a casual complaint. Zhou Hao, are you tired? Su Lin came to the front of the sofa and spoke gently. A little. Zhou Hao replied casually. Su Lin's voice became softer. I have learned how to massage before. Why don't I give you a massage? You also know how to massage? Zhou Hao turned around on the sofa and smiled. I used to study in the healthcare class when I was in college. I wanted to learn to be filial to my parents, but now it's your turn. Then I really took advantage of you. Zhou Hao smiled and said, but aren't you tired? It was almost dawn. Su Lin shook her head lightly. I didn't do any heavy work. How could I be tired? She leaned against Zhou Hao and sat on the sofa. She put her hands on Zhou Hao's broad shoulders and started to massage them. Zhou Hao originally wanted to reject her and let her go back to rest, but he did not say anything when Su Lin waved her hand. Because Su Lin's strength when she was light and heavy at that time was indeed very comfortable, she could not help but lie down on the sofa and enjoy it. Su Lin's craftsmanship was indeed very good. In addition, she thought for Zhou Hao at all times, so she massaged even more carefully and carefully. Under this kind of enjoyment, Zhou Hao relaxed his entire body and very quickly fell asleep in a daze. Su Lin sat beside him and massaged him while looking at his side profile. Her eyes gradually became infatuated. The room was silent. Only the clock on the wall made a ticking sound. Su Lin's delicate hand touched Zhou Hao's robust body and felt the man's firm and flexible muscles. It made people feel an invisible sense of safety and dependence. Looking at Zhou Hao's serene and handsome face, Su Lin felt that she was so close to and so far away from this man. Although they had only known each other for a short period of time, Su Lin already knew that she had fallen in love with this man. In fact, when she was in university, when she was working hard to complete her studies, she also had a crush on a senior. He was the president of the student union. He was very outstanding among the college students. He often attended school events and even played a good guitar. There were a few girls in her class who had a crush on her senior, but Su Lin was different from her classmates who put their feelings of admiration into practice. In the end, she still prioritized her studies and hid that hazy feeling that she had never revealed in her heart. Now that she thought about it, Su Lin felt that she was really a little childish at that time. In the past, she liked that senior because he had a kind of maturity and experience that was rarely seen among his peers. 4. But now, during the time she spent with Zhou Hao, Su Lin had finally truly seen what a top man was like. Even the senior whom many girls used to think of as their dream lover was like the difference between the clouds and mud compared to the current Zhou Hao. Speaking of maturity, the temperament that Zhou Hao unconsciously exuded could make the people around him feel safe. Inadvertently, it could make people rely on him. Therefore, Su Lin, who did not know Zhou Hao's true age, always thought that Zhou Hao was a few years older than her. Speaking of experience, Zhou Hao could create a huge fortune of several billion by himself. Moreover, every time he encountered danger, he would show a calm and collected expression. It was not something that others could compare with. In short, in Su Lin's eyes, Zhou Hao had to have a good appearance, a good figure, talent, wealth, and wealth. Such an outstanding man was truly something that Su Lin had never encountered in her life. His only weakness was that he was a little willful. Sometimes, he would do things according to his own will. But even this weakness fascinated Su Lin. Su Lin had thought about it before, just like those female subordinates on television who seduced male superiors to get close to Zhou Hao. But she had never been in love before, and there was always a sense of restraint in her heart that restrained herself. In addition, she was afraid that Zhou Hao would look down on her just like that. So she thought that Zhou Hao would look down on her. She was that kind of slut. The most important thing was that Zhou Hao was Li Ruolin's boyfriend. Su Lin did not want to destroy their relationship and make herself a shameful third party. Her hand caressed Zhou Hao and she felt her body heat up and her face heat up. She knew that having such thoughts was already blaspheming the friendship between Li Ruolin and herself. However, in her heart, she could not help but have uncontrollable ripples on Zhou Hao. Su Lin thought about it, and in the end, she still worked hard to suppress her fanatical heart. She gently and carefully massaged Zhou Hao. She knew that her hands were sore and could not use any more strength before she stopped. Zhou Hao, who was in a daze, naturally did not know that the woman behind him had so many thoughts. He felt that her hands had stopped and slowly opened his eyes. He looked up and found that it was already past 6 o'clock. Su Lin actually massaged him for more than an hour. He could not help but feel very apologetic. Su Lin, why did you massage me for so long? Your hands are not tired, right? Su Lin did not know whether her face was still red or not and hurriedly hid a smile. It's fine. If you feel comfortable, I will help you massage later. Zhou Hao did not have the face to say that and said, No need, no need. You have been busy all night. You are also tired. Quickly go back to your room to rest. As he spoke, he got up from the sofa and walked upstairs. Looking at Zhou Hao's back, Su Lin remembered that before coming to Hong Kong, Li Ruolin had asked her to look after him properly. She could not help but think, if I do this, does it count as stealing? Zhou Hao went back to his room to sleep. He slept for a long time, and when he woke up again, it was already past 5 o'clock in the afternoon. When he walked out of the room, he heard the sound of cooking coming from below. When he came downstairs, Zhou Hao saw Su Lin, who was dressed in casual clothes, cooking in the kitchen. Compared to Zhou Hao, who had been reborn with his culinary skills, Su Lin's cooking skills were not as proficient. However, compared to those pretty girls who did not work hard and did not differentiate between 4 and 5 grains, it was still considered decent. When Su Lin heard the commotion, she saw Zhou Hao and quickly smiled. You're awake? She blushed when she saw Zhou Hao looking at her with a smile. He was holding a spatula in his hand. You cooked for me before, but now it's my turn. But my culinary skills are not as good as yours. Just give me some. Su Lin's dishes were indeed very simple. She cooked green melons, fried meat, fried eggs with chives, and a pot of light egg soup. However, the taste was also quite good, and it was quite warm in the light. Among the women Zhou Hao knew, Su Lin's cooking was considered passable. It was only slightly worse than Li Ruolin's, but was much better than Zhao Yuqin and Situ Jianning's. Zhao Yuqin was proficient in business and socializing. Being able to dance like a fish in water in many social circles, she could be said to be both talented and handsome. Only her culinary skills were one of her biggest flaws. She was the kind of person who could treat sandalwood as salt. Situ Jianning had been spoiled since she was young. She only started to learn how to cook after knowing Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao had tried cooking before and never dared to mention it again. Song Jiahao called just now and said that our funds are about to be transferred to Thailand. Our men are following your orders and adjusting the funds. Everything is going smoothly. Su Lin said to Zhou Hao when she was serving him soup. Zhou Hao nodded. I am still very confident in Song Jiahao and the others' ability to work. With them around, I have much more free time. Su Lin rolled her eyes at him. You have some free time? I just went to the company. Those employees were so busy that some of them even spent the night in the company. After this operation is over, you have to reward them well. Of course, I will never treat my employees unfairly. Oh, by the way, Mrs. Xiang also called just now. But I saw that you weren't awake yet, so I didn't disturb you. Zhou Hao said, Is Xiang Huaqiang awake? Su Lin nodded and said, Yes. Mrs. Duan said Mr. Duan wants to see you. If it is convenient, you can go to the hospital to see them. Okay, I will go after dinner later. After the meal, Su Lin took the initiative to clean up the bowls and chopsticks and wash them clean. Zhou Hao sat on the sofa with his legs crossed and watched the news. He looked like an old man. After resting for a while, Zhou Hao and Su Lin went to visit Xiang Huaqiang. Because of this, Zhou Hao even specially bought a fruit basket. Xiang Huaqiang was in the special care ward, and there were Xi and people guarding around the ward. Looking at the scene, it was as if Xiang Huaqiang was the head of state. When they came to Xiang Huaqiang's ward, the two people at the door wanted to search Zhou Hao's body. They were afraid that he would harm Xiang Huaqiang, but they were stopped by Hua Sheng, who came out to welcome Zhou Hao. How dare you? Mr. Zhou is my brother's friend. How dare you search his body? The two men didn't dare to refute his words. They lowered their heads and apologized to Zhou Hao. After walking into the ward, they saw that the living facilities here were complete. It looked like a hotel suite. It was just that there were many medical instruments beside Xiang Huaqiang's hospital bed, indicating that this was a hospital. Other than Xiang Huaqiang, who was lying on the hospital bed, Li Lan was also sitting on a chair by the bed, feeding Xiang Huaqiang soup. Brother Zhou, you're here? Xiang Huaqiang immediately smiled when he saw Zhou Hao. Mr. Song, are you all right? Zhou Hao asked. Although Xiang Huaqiang's neck was still wrapped in bandages, his face was rosy. Clearly, he was fine. Xiang Huaqiang smiled. Thank you, Brother Zhou, for saving my life. The doctor told me that it was fortunate that I stopped the bleeding in time. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult to save him. My subordinates all said that it was Brother Zhou who stopped the bleeding. Actually, it was not only his subordinates who said that. At that time, although he lost consciousness due to a large amount of blood loss, he could still vaguely tell that it was Zhou Hao who saved him. Saving a life is better than building a 7-storied pagoda. You don't have to take it to heart, Mr. C.I. Zhou Hao seemed very carefree. Oh right, Mr. Chow. Have you found out who wanted your life? Xiang Huaqiang chuckled. My men have already gone to investigate. However, those who want my life are just people from the underworld. After all, he was a mafia magnate who had experienced countless storms and waves. Even though he had just escaped disaster, Xiang Huaqiang was still very calm and composed. But speaking of which, Brother Zhou, you really don't know how to show yourself. Xiang Huaqiang looked at Zhou Hao. So you are the adopted son of Chairman Zhao. Ha ha ha, I thought you were just an ordinary businessman who came from Hong Kong to do business. You are really a frog in a well. Zhou Hao was not surprised that Xiang Huaqiang knew about his background. Since the new Ian had moved closer to the country, there must be some connections in the country. His identity was not a secret in some circles. As long as he asked around, he would know. Su Lin, who was with Zhou Hao, was shocked when she heard that he was the adopted son of a high official in the country. Li Lan also smiled at Zhou Hao and said, I'm sorry, Mr. Zhou. We were afraid that you might have some ulterior motives in getting close to Huachong, so we sent someone to investigate. I'm really sorry. It was not polite to investigate others without permission. However, Li Lan took the initiative to be frank and apologized to Zhou Hao, which showed that he was quite frank. Zhou Hao also felt that as a member of the underworld, it was understandable for Li Lan to do so, so he did not blame them. However, when Li Lan and Xiang Huaqiang received the news from the people in the country, their shock was still very strong. In order to find out more about Zhou Hao, they had asked someone from the Guangdong Public Security Department. After learning that Zhou Hao was Zhao Rixin's adopted son, they were highly regarded by the military in the country. Li Lan and Xianghua Shang thought to themselves, no wonder Zhou Hao was able to enter and exit Zhang Yingpei's residence. Initially, they thought that Zhou Hao was trying to build a connection with Zhang Yingpei, but now it seemed like it was Zhang Yingpei who had tried to rope him in. After knowing the value of Zhou Hao, Li Lan immediately decided to get on Zhou Hao's good side. Although Xian had become a patriot underworld, it had become closer to the country. Who knew what would happen in the future? With Zhou Hao's help, perhaps Xian or the Xia family could have a way out. Regarding this matter, how do you want to deal with it? Zhou Hao asked Xiang Huaqiang and the others. Then, he heard Xiang Huaqiang say, of course, we need to find out who is the real culprit behind this, and then we'll settle the score with him. Even the head of our new Ian family dares to touch him. I think that guy must be tired of living. Ah Shang, don't be so impulsive. Xiang Huaqiang was much calmer than his younger brother. He said to Zhou Hao, but this matter has already spread to the public. As the head of Xian, I naturally have to take some measures. Mr. and Mrs. Duan, regarding this matter, I would like to say a few words, Zhou Hao said seriously. Xiang Huaqiang and Li Lan quickly said, please speak. Zhou Hao said, although this incident was targeted at your assassination, in my opinion, this matter is more like stirring up trouble in Hong Kong's underworld. Mr. Duan, this is an important period of time for you to return. Hong Kong must not be thrown into chaos. If Hong Kong's underworld is really thrown into chaos, even if some of the Hong Kong clubs have already expressed their willingness to cooperate with the country will definitely make a serious move. At that time, the entire Hong Kong underworld will no longer have any room for survival. He was reminding Xiang Huaqiang, and it could also be said to be a warning. He was telling Xiang Huaqiang that if Xian really wanted to start a war, then the country would no longer care about the attitude of these patriotism gangs. After returning, they would directly clean up the Hong Kong underworld. Even if these gangs with dozens or hundreds of years of history were able to survive, their future development space would also shrink greatly. I know that too, Xiang Huaqiang said to Zhou Hao. In fact, when I woke up just now, the Provincial Public Security Department's head Liu called me personally to express his condolences. Although he didn't say it, I know what he meant. He wanted us, Xian, to not act rashly. His expression was very serious. I've already told the people below not to act recklessly, but this time's matter has indeed violated the fundamental interests of our society. Even if I don't want to pursue this matter, my men won't agree to it. So I must do something. Just as Zhou Hao was frowning, Xiang Huaqiang said again, I have already made an appointment with the fat man from the East Star, the 14K machine gun, and the leaders of the few gangs in charge of the head. We will meet at the tea house with integrity tonight. Let's talk about this matter together. Zhou Hao knew that this was the usual talk in the underworld, which was also the negotiation. He turned to Xiang Huaqiang and said, let's talk about this. No matter what kind of attitude you have in this matter, sir, he said to Xiang Huaqiang, but I still have to remind you that you have to think twice before making any decisions. I know your good intentions, Brother Zhou. Xiang Huaqiang nodded and smiled. So I want Brother Zhou to go with me to tonight's gathering. Seeing Zhou Hao frown, Xiang Huaqiang said again, Brother Zhou, don't worry. I will never tell anyone about your identity. I will not tarnish the name of Chang Zhao. I just want you to come with me to prove it. He knew that people at Zhao Rixin's level disdained people from the underworld. If he angered Zhao Rixin, he would instead bring disaster to himself and even the entire underworld in Hong Kong. You have a backbone. The official name of the tea house was actually Fujing Restaurant. Due to the long history of this tea house, people from various underworld societies liked to drink morning tea here. As time passed, people from the underworld called it Backbone Tea House. At 10:30 p.m., Xiang Huaqiang, Xiang Huashang, and Zhou Hao left Ma Jiaolai Hospital and headed to the You Have a Backbone Tea House. As Xiang Huaqiang's injuries were no longer serious, as long as he was not infected, he would be fine. Xiang Huaqiang also did not like to stay in the hospital. If it was any other patient, the doctor would definitely not agree to let him leave the hospital so early. But who was Xiang Huaqiang? He was the leader of the biggest gang in Hong Kong. Those doctors did not dare to go against his wishes. Besides, Xiang Huaqiang had a high social status. He had private doctors to take care of him at any time. The treatment conditions were not any worse than in the hospital. Zhou Hao and Xiang Huaqiang were going to meet the leaders of Hong Kong's major gangs, so it was not convenient for them to bring Su Lin with them. Li Lan knew Zhou Hao's intentions, so he took the initiative to pull Su Lin to those high-class clubs for skincare and beautification. Sitting in his Mercedes-Benz car with Xiang Huaqiang, Xiang Huaqiang told Zhou how about the general situation of the Hong Kong underworld. What Xiang Huaqiang said was similar to what Zhou Hao knew in his previous life. In this period of time, there were dozens of gangs in Hong Kong, and most of them were small street gangs. The large gangs included New Ian, Alliance, 14K, Shang He, and so on. Among these large gangs, New Ian was the largest, Alliance and 14K were the most powerful. Xian Ian's business was very broad. Not only did he manage to book a few casinos in Macau, he also booked several gambling boats, as well as an outer gambling company that included Southeast Asia. Apart from that, with Yongsheng Film Company as the head, Xian Ian's strength in Hong Kong's movie industry was also very large. At the same time, he also helped Xian Ian wash away the black money through movie investments. As for the association called East Star, its business was mainly in the traditional underground industry, including gambling and gambling. However, its operating method was much more advanced than before, and it even introduced some management methods of some companies. And just like Xian Ian, the Alliance also had quite a bit of influence in the entertainment industry. And 14K was Hong Kong's biggest pirated company. More than half of the pirated CDs and DVD pirated in Hong Kong and even Southeast Asia were made by them. Right now, the boss of the E-Star, Old Fat, has been working for the E-Star for more than 10 years. This guy doesn't care about the rules when doing things, and he is very ruthless. The people in the E-Star are all very afraid of him. However, I heard that he got the position of the person in charge after killing the previous person over 10 years ago. Xiang Huaqiang introduced to Zhou Hao. As for the leader of the 14K, he was in Longji, nicknamed Machine Gun. Among the leaders of our clubs, he is the youngest. He is only 40 years old this year. This fellow is a graduate of MIT, and before he enters the underworld, he is a financial manager of a large group. But after the corporation went bankrupt, he was also framed by the shareholders of the corporation and pushed the blame on him. Although the investigation later had nothing to do with him, no other company dared to use him. Then, in a fit of anger, he went to place the loan shark at 14K. Zhou Hao smiled and said, "This is the so-called high-intelligence criminal." Xiang Huaqiang said, "Yes, the people in the 14K are all professionals hired by him with a high salary." "I don't think so. The current 14K is about to be turned into a company by him. And there are also the few gangs at the front of the word he. They were originally a large gang a few decades ago. Our New Ian and the United British Society are not their match. However, later on, their internal strife split into a few small gangs, and their strength was greatly reduced due to them being separated." "That's right, Mr. Xiang. Will the current Hong Kong gangs really kill people on the streets like in the movies?" Zhou Hao asked. "It's not that there are no gangs, but there are fewer gangs than before," Xiang Huaqiang said. "Right now, our main goal is to make money. Everything is to make money. If it isn't necessary, we rarely use weapons. Of course, those who live on the streets aren't good men and women, so it's inevitable for them to make noise during normal days. But," he suddenly sighed, "walking in the martial arts world is not an easy thing after all. That's why I sent my 2 sons to study in England early on, just that I don't want to involve them in the club's matters." Zhou Hao was also very emotional when he saw how deeply the leader of the underworld cared for his children. Zhou Hao and the others soon arrived at the famous Hong Kong underworld tea house called Spiky. There were already many people standing in front of the not-so-grand entrance. They were all from the underworld. The streets were also filled with luxury cars. They should be the bosses of various clubs. Xiang Huaqiang had brought quite a few people with him. There were 30 of them, and many of them were armed with pistols, especially the few guards besides Xiang Huaqiang. 2 of them even hid a light machine gun on them to prevent emergencies. When the people from the other clubs at the door saw Xiang Huaqiang get off the car, they all greeted him respectfully. "Looks like they are all here. Let's go in," Xiang Huaqiang said to Zhou Hao. The 2 of them walked into the restaurant together. There were no other customers in the restaurant. The people they saw were all fierce and frivolous members of the underworld. Zhou Hao and Xiang Huaqiang went to a large room on the 2nd floor and saw that there were already quite a number of people sitting inside. Zhou Hao also saw a familiar face. It was Xiao Lianhu, who wanted to take Liang Xiaobing away in TV City that day. He was standing behind a fat middle-aged man. Zhou Hao saw the middle-aged man and guessed that he was Fang Bingrun, the leader of the union called Fat Uncle. Fang Bingrun had a typical fierce-looking face, as if his facial features were squeezed together. When he smiled, he even revealed his yellow teeth. Opposite Fang Bingrun, there was a middle-aged man wearing a suit and a crown. His hair was combed until it was shiny, and he even wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. At first glance, He looked like a successful entrepreneur. His two subordinates were also wearing suits that looked like white-collar workers, so Zhou Hao guessed that this person should be Enlongji, whom Xiang Huaqiang had mentioned. There were also some other people who were the leaders of the other clubs. Hee, our fifth brother is finally here. Let us wait for a while. Seeing Xiang Huaqiang's arrival, Fang Bingrun was the first to speak with a smile. However, his smile was very annoying. He looked at the bandage on Xiang Huaqiang's neck and said with a hint of schadenfreude, "Fifth brother, I heard you were almost killed by the gunman. You should be fine. I told you before, don't do so many immoral things, or do more good deeds. Look, karma has come, right?" Xiang Huaqiang did not say anything about Fang Bingruan's mockery. However, Xiang Huashang, who was standing beside him, couldn't take it anymore. He pointed at Fang Bingrun and cursed, "You fat pig, what kind of nonsense are you saying? I think it was you, an old pig, who found someone to kill my brother." Fang Bingruan's expression changed when he heard what Xiang Huaqiang said. He quickly said, "You can eat whatever you want, but you can't speak nonsense. Don't accuse a good person carelessly," Xiang Huaqiang said. Zhou Hao knew that Zheng Yingpei had called Fang Bingrun and told him that the shooter was a red stick from the Union Society. 3. That was why Fang Bingrun felt guilty when he heard the impulsive words of Xiang Huasheng. If Xian's people found out that Gao Wentao was a member of their association, then a war between Xian and the association would be inevitable. Xiang Huaqiang raised his hand to stop Sheng Huaxin and said lightly, "Sheng, don't speak nonsense." "That's right, fifth brother. Take good care of your brother," Fang Bingrun said angrily. At this moment, Enlongji walked over. Hey, don't start arguing the moment you meet. Our fifth brother has just been discharged from the hospital. We should celebrate for him. Come on. Everyone, take a seat." Thus, these dragons who had been in Hong Kong's underworld were gathered together. "It's obvious that someone wants to take my life this time." After sitting down, Xiang Huaqiang said first. The hearts of everyone present shivered when they heard this. Xiang Huaqiang was one of the best in Hong Kong's underworld. If he was assassinated, they knew very well what kind of changes would happen to Hong Kong's underworld. "Fifth brother, let me explain first. That person was definitely not sent by me." Enlongji smiled and said. However, Cheng Huasheng sneered and said, "We didn't say who it was. Why are you so guilty?" Enlongji stopped smiling and said with a solemn face, "Xiang Huasheng, be careful with your words. Everyone knows that you are interested in the few casinos in Macau. If my brother is no longer around, I can't guarantee that someone will seize the opportunity to rob our casinos in Macau. Didn't the police often say that there was a motive behind the crime? In my opinion, the motive of some people is also very obvious," Cheng Huasheng said without showing any signs of weakness. Enlongji suddenly slammed the table, stood up, and pointed at Sheng Huaxin. "Sheng Huaxin, I give you 3 points of respect for your new righteousness, but don't push your luck. If we really want to fight, we, the 14K, have never been afraid of anyone." "Machine gun, calm down. That's not what Sheng meant," Xiang Huaqiang said to Enlongji. "Brother, do you need to be so polite to him? I think he is the suspect." "Shut up. Are you only happy when the two of us have a real fight?" Xiang Huaqiang glared at Huasheng and scolded him. Xiang Huasheng, although his personality was straightforward, he listened to his brother the most. Even though he was still unconvinced by Enlongji, he still lowered his head and did not speak. Xiang Huaqiang also said to everyone present, "I do not doubt everyone's intentions. I only hope that everyone can help me investigate who exactly wants me to take someone's life. Although I'm not a young man anymore, it means that whoever wants to bully me will be bullied." His tone became more and more gloomy. Besides, since that guy dared to deal with me, he probably won't have any qualms about us. I dare say, if we don't drag this guy out, then I won't be the last victim. Enlongji, Fang Bingrun, and the others' expressions changed. Xiang Huaqiang's words were clearly a reminder, but it wasn't that he didn't mean to threaten them. Everyone heard what Xiang Huaqiang meant. That was, if they didn't find out who it was that wanted to harm him, he would not let them live in peace. "Fifth brother, are you threatening us?" Fang Bingrun narrowed his eyes and stared at Xiang Huaqiang. Xiang Huaqiang leaned back against the chair, took a sip of tea, and said slowly, "It's just a reminder. I think everyone understands that at this time, if there is a large-scale conflict between the big clubs, it will not be good for anyone." Zhou Hao, who was sitting next to Xiang Huaqiang, spoke, "No matter what kind of attitude you have towards the government of China, but if you really want to fight, both the government of China and the British government will not stand idly by. You're forcing them to clean up the entire Hong Kong underworld, and fifth brother only wants everyone to help investigate the real culprit. He just doesn't want this matter to get out of hand. This can be considered an explanation for fifth brother and Xian. Who is this kid? On the other side, Fang Bingrun sneered and said, Fifth brother, could it be your son? The others also looked at Zhou Hao. In fact, they had already started paying attention to him when he and Xiang Huaqiang entered the room together. Now that they saw him speak on behalf of Xiang Huaqiang, they couldn't help but feel curious about his identity. Xiang Huaqiang looked around and then smiled at everyone. This is Zhou Hao, my good friend. Thanks to him, I was able to keep my life this time. At this time, Xiao Yanhu also leaned over and whispered a few words into Fang Bingruan's ear. Fang Bingruan's face darkened, and he looked at Zhou Hao with a fierce look. Zhou Hao knew that Xiao Yanhu must have told Fang Bingrun about what happened that day, but he didn't care about it at all. He even showed a cold smile to Fang Bingrun. Fang Bingrun had been the leader of the union for so many years. Except for Xiang Huaqiang, who could argue with him, he had never been provoked by others. When he saw the sneer on Zhou Hao's face, which was obviously filled with contempt, he immediately became furious. However, just as he was about to get angry, the others had already agreed to Xiang Huaqiang's request. They all stood up and prepared to leave. Xiang Huaqiang was also preparing to leave. Fang Bingrun immediately pounded the table and shouted, Fifth brother, you guys go first, but that kid has to stay behind. Xiang Huaqiang raised his eyebrows and narrowed his eyes at Fang Bingrun. What? This show brother of mine has offended you? Humph. Humph. You guys should know that I have taken a fancy to a little star. Fang Bingrun said, I have liked her for a long time. A few days ago, I wanted to treat her to dinner and drink with me. It was this guy who got in my way and hurt my people. He glared at Zhou Hao. He even dared to hit the people I sent out. What's the difference between this and slapping me? What's the difference between this and slapping our East Star? So, this kid can't leave. Xiang Huaqiang let out a cold snort. He's my friend and also my savior. If I keep him here, will he still be able to come out and meet people in the future? He didn't hold back at all from Fang Bingrun. Besides, everyone knows that Liang Xiaobing doesn't like you. Although we are from the underworld and do not mind playing with women, but the prerequisite is that they are willing. Otherwise, what is the difference between this and forcing a good woman into prostitution? Fatty Fang, you are the one who is in the wrong in this matter. Now, you still dare to seek revenge from Zhou Hao? Fang Bingrun was so angry that his whole body was trembling because of Xiang Huaqiang's words. But what Xiang Huaqiang said was right. Although they were from the underworld, according to the rules of the martial world, forcing a good person into prostitution was still despicable. Although Fang Bingrun and the others had done a lot of things like forcing a good person into prostitution, they would not openly say it out to make others take the blame. Originally, because Zheng Yingpei had come out to protect Liang Xiaobing, Fang Bingrun could not do anything to Liang Xiaobing, which had already made him angry and angry. Now, after learning from Xiao Lianhu that Zhou Hao was the person who had stopped them from taking Liang Xiaobing away, it had given Fang Bingrun a target to vent his anger on. Therefore, Fang Bingrun became angry from embarrassment and said, Surnamed, do you have to protect this kid now? I will definitely protect him. Xiang Huaqiang's gaze was exceptionally sharp. You must go against me? Fang Bingrun slammed the table, causing the teapot and teacups on the table to clink. Xiao Yanhu and his two subordinates behind him also took a step forward. Xiang Huaqiang did not need to say anything. The guards behind him had already taken out their guns. Fifth brother, I don't need to trouble you with this matter. I can settle it myself. Zhou Hao said with a faint smile. Xiang Huaqiang looked at Zhou Hao and saw the confident smile on his face. He nodded at his two subordinates and asked them to take back their guns. Zhou Hao looked straight at Fang Bingrun. I am here now. What do you want to do? He heard Fang Bingrun laugh coldly. Kid, you are really bold. Ever since the day I came out, no one has dared to oppose me again and again like you. However, I admire your courage. As long as you leave one of your hands behind, I will wipe away everything that happened in the past. Fatty, I'm just afraid that you won't dare to take it. Xiang Huaqiang sneered at Fang Bingrun. Brother Zhou is a good friend of Chief Zheng. If you dare to touch him, I'm afraid your place will be swept clean by the police. He already knew that Zheng Yingpei also wanted to rope Zhou Hao in, so he would never let anyone hurt Zhou Hao. When Fang Bingrun heard that Zhou Hao was Zheng Yingpei's good friend, and recalled that Zheng Yingpei had suddenly come out to provide protection for Liang Xiaobing, he immediately understood. He had always felt that it was strange that Zheng Yingpei would protect Liang Xiaobing for no reason. If Zheng Yingpei was originally related to Liang Xiaobing, then why did he not protect Liang Xiaobing previously? Fang Bingrun had previously suspected that Liang Xiaobing had hooked up with Zhang Yingpei and got Zhang Yingpei's protection. But now, it seemed like Zhou Hao was the key to this. First, Zhou Hao had repeatedly obstructed the people he had sent. After that, Zhang Yingpei personally called him and told him that Liang Xiaobing was his niece, telling him not to disturb her. Could it be that Zhang Yingpei did not hesitate to protect that little bitch because of this brat? Fang Bingrun thought to himself. Immediately, Fang Bingrun hesitated. Just like what Xiang Huaqiang said, although he did not do things according to the rules, it did not mean that he was not afraid of the police. Especially since Zhang Yingpei was the deputy chief of police. His brother, Zhang Yingquan, was also the secretary of the finance department. The family was very influential in politics. If they set their eyes on them, it would not be easy for their union. They might even be taken advantage of by other gangs. But if they were to shrink back like this, especially in front of so many people, it would be an extremely shameful thing. How is it, Fang Bingrun? Seeing Fang Bingruan's hesitant expression, the smile on Zhou Hao's face became even wider. 4. I am right here. If you have the ability, take this hand of mine. As he spoke, he raised his right hand and gently placed it on the back of a chair beside him. However, even though he casually placed his hand on the back of the chair made of redwood suddenly broke into pieces and turned into wood shavings on the ground, making Xiang Huaqiang and Enlongji dumbfounded. Fang Bingruan's pupils shrank. If Zhou Hao's hand hit him, would he still be able to escape? He swallowed his saliva. He forced himself to remain calm and said, "Kid, for fifth brother's sake, I'll let you off this time. Let's go." After saying that, he led his subordinates towards the door. However, when he passed by Zhou Hao, he still looked at Zhou Hao with a gloomy expression. "Wow, little brother. You are so skillful." As Zhou Hao and Xiang Huaqiang walked outside, Enlongji rushed over and praised Zhou Hao. "Brother Zhou, right? Hee, I'm the manager of 14K. Everyone calls me Machine Gun." Knowing that Zhou Hao was good friends with Zhang Yingpei and Xiang Huaqiang, Enlongji also had the intention of befriending him. Zhou Hao was also curious about this man who used modern corporate management methods to manage gangs. He smiled and shook hands with him. "Hello, big brother." Enlongji hurriedly smiled. "Brother Zhou," he said, "the nightclubs under the name of 14K are the best in Hong Kong. How about I invite you to enjoy it when there's a chance? Not only are there all kinds of women inside, even I have ways to find celebrities. As long as you like them, it's fine. I appreciate Big Brother An's good intentions. If I have time, I will definitely go and take a look. As long as Big Brother An doesn't find it troublesome, that's all." Enlongji immediately said that he wouldn't dare. The group of people arrived at the door. Enlongji invited Zhou Hao to visit him when he had time, then left with his subordinates. Xiang Huaqiang also took Zhou Hao to his own residence. Su Lin and Li Lan should have finished their cosmetic surgery and were waiting for them there. However, just as they arrived at Xiang Huaqiang's villa, Zhou Hao received a call from Wang Weiwen. Wang Weiwen said with a crying voice, "Zhou Hao, come here quickly. Xiaobing is gone." Upon hearing Wang Weiwen's words, Zhou Hao's heart skipped a beat. "What? Weiwen, what did you say?" Wang Weiwen said on the phone, "Xiaobing, she is gone." "How could she be gone? Is she not home? Did you call her?" Zhou Hao asked anxiously, but Wang Weiwen just kept crying. Zhou Hao could not hear him clearly no matter what he said. Finally, Zhou Hao suddenly shouted into the phone, "Enough. Calm down. Hurry up and tell me everything in detail." Being shouted at by Zhou Hao, Wang Weiwen stopped crying and said intermittently, "Xiaobing and I just came back from the company. We wanted to have a drink downstairs after taking a shower. But when I went up to look for Xiaobing after I finished bathing, I found that she was not there. The door of the house was also open. Xiaobing was usually a person who had an explanation and would not leave without closing the door. So I immediately called her, but no one spoke after a few times. Every time, she hung up in less than 3 to 4 seconds." Knowing what had happened, Zhou Hao's expression became serious. From Wang Weiwen's words, it was obvious that Liang Xiaobing did not leave the house by herself. Especially when Wang Weiwen called Liang Xiaobing. The call clearly went through, but no one spoke and quickly hung up. This situation was very unusual. Also, Xiaobing's home is very messy. There are signs of struggle. Wang Weiwen added. "Zhou Hao, do you think Xiaobing was taken away by someone? Was it Fang Bingrun who did it? Should we call the police?" If that was the case, Liang Xiaobing might have been kidnapped from her home. Zhou Hao recalled the look Fang Bingrun gave him when he left the tea house. He muttered to himself, "Is it really that guy who did it? But that shouldn't be the case. Uncle Pei had clearly warned him." What happened? Xiang Huaqiang, who was standing next to Zhou Hao, saw the unusual expression on Zhou Hao's face and asked with concern. As soon as Zhou Hao told him what happened, Xiang Huaqiang immediately took out his phone and said, "I will call Fatty and ask him." After saying that, he dialed Fang Bingruan's number. He also knew that Liang Xiaobing had disappeared. The most suspicious person was Fang Bingrun. "Fatty, where are you now?" Xiang Huaqiang asked. "I'm at home. What's wrong? You have given me enough face just now, and now you want to kick me while I'm down," Fang Bingrun said impatiently. Xiang Huaqiang took a deep breath and said, "Fatty, what happened just now is over. Tell me honestly, did you ask someone to take Liang Xiaobing away? If that's the case, hurry up and let her go. Zhou Hao and I will pretend nothing happened." Fang Bingrun was also confused. What nonsense is this? When did I send someone to catch that little B***tch? That woman? Xiang Huaqiang naturally thought that he was playing dumb. So he said in a deep voice, "Old fat man, consider this as giving me face. Let her go. Could it be that you really want Zhang Yingpei to send someone to your home before you are willing to give in? This won't do anyone any good." Xiang Huaqiang, what nonsense are you talking about? When did I take Liang Xiaobing away? You mother asterisk her. Tell me clearly. Don't slander me here. Fang Bingrun was also furious. When he heard Fang Bingruan scolding, Xiang Huaqiang was also very angry, but he still took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. Liang Xiaobing just disappeared. That's why I called to ask you. What I did was to give you a way out. If you are stubborn, Zhang Yingpei will personally look for you. Don't blame us. But I really didn't ask anyone to capture Liang Xiaobing. How do you want me to release her? F***CKU. What does the disappearance of that woman have to do with me? Fang Bingrun shouted and hung up the phone. But in fact, he was also anxious. He had said on the street that he wanted Liang Xiaobing to be his woman. Now, Liang Xiaobing was gone. Everyone's first reaction was that he did it, and Zhang Yingpei would definitely find him. There was also that Zhou Hao. Although they still couldn't find out who he was, since Zhang Yingpei could protect Liang Xiaobing because of him, this person must be unusual. Fang Bingrun scratched his head angrily and called one of his subordinates to give orders. Go and ask the people below to see if they have disturbed Liang Xiaobing. Also, send people to find Liang Xiaobing, but remember not to hurt her. Got it, boss. The subordinate immediately left. What about Lianhu? Fang Bingrun shouted again. Big brother seems to be saying that he is going to Macau to play a few rounds. He will only be back tomorrow. The subordinate replied. Fang Bingrun waved his hand and the subordinate left. He also took out his phone and dialed Xiao Lianhu's number, but what he heard was that the other party had turned off his phone. That brat only cared about gambling and didn't even turn on his phone. On the other side, after Fang Bingrun hung up the phone, Xiang Huaqiang said to Zhou Hao, "Do you want me to go with you to find old fatty? I think Liang Xiaobing was taken away by him." Zhou Hao shook his head. "I don't think it was him." Since Zhang Yingpei had warned Fang Bingrun before, even if Fang Bingrun wanted to take revenge on him, he would not take Liang Xiaobing away so easily. Furthermore, he also felt that this wasn't done by Fang Bingrun. "Then I will ask someone to help me find her," Xiang Huaqiang said again. "No need," Zhou Hao said. "Fifth brother, let me borrow this car. Also, tell Su Lin that I will go back later." "No problem, but you really don't need me to send someone to help you?" Zhou Hao shook his head. They got out of the car and Zhou Hao sat in the driver's seat. Xiang Huaqiang asked his men to pass a gun to Zhou Hao and said, "In case of emergencies. Also, be careful." Zhou Hao nodded and put the gun aside. He drove the car out of Xiang Huaqiang's villa. Looking at the speeding car leaving in the dust, Xiang Huaqiang said to Xiang Huasheng, "Ah Sheng, immediately send out your men. You must find Liang Xiaobing and come back." "Got it, big brother," Xiang Huasheng replied. As for Zhou Hao, he actually did not know where Liang Xiaobing was. Although he had already called the police, Xiang Huaqiang would definitely send someone to help find Liang Xiaobing. However, Zhou Hao intuitively felt that Liang Xiaobing was in danger now. It would be too late if the police or the underworld people found her. Therefore, he decided to drive the car out himself and rely on his superhuman instinct to find Liang Xiaobing. Flying Goose Mountain was located at the border of the Yellow Great Immortal District, Guantang District, West Construction District, and Shatian District in Hong Kong. It was also called Nine Dragon Peak, which was the highest peak of the Nine Dragons. Flying Goose Mountain could see the entire Nine Dragon Peninsula and the north shore of Hong Kong Island. Flying Goose Mountain did not have a public bus to arrive. The tourists mainly relied on driving or taking taxis to arrive. Perhaps it was because there were few people, but this was also a place where many couples interacted. At this time, A business car slowly drove over from the foot of the mountain and quietly walked on the highway of Mount Flying Goose. 1. Finally, the black business car stopped halfway up the mountain. A few people got out of the car and carried a struggling woman. They got out of the van and went straight into the woods beside the road. They went deeper and deeper, and soon, there was no trace of them. When they reached the depths of the dark forest, the torchlights in their hands were very conspicuous. They put the woman down and the torchlight shone on her face. It was Liang Xiaobing, who had been kidnapped from her home. Her hands were tied behind her back and her legs were tied tightly by the hemp rope. Her mouth was also stuffed with cloth, and her face was full of panic and doubt. "Although I'm sorry, we can't let you go." A man walked in front of Liang Xiaobing. He still had a cigarette in his mouth. The light from the cigarette made his face unusually sinister and terrifying in the darkness. This man was actually the Xiaolian who lied about the Macau gambling event. Liang Xiaobing sat on the ground and could not move. Her eyes stared at Xiao Lianhu as if she was asking, "Why?" Xiao Lianhu picked up the cigarette between his lips and spat out a wisp of white smoke. He said lightly, "Don't blame me. As long as you die, Fongbing Run will be in trouble. I am very happy to see that." Humph, humph, humph. As long as it's something that can make him angry, I'm willing to do it. While Xiao Lianhu was talking, his 3 subordinates were digging holes on the ground with their spades. Seeing the 3 men continuously waving their spades, Liang Xiaobing guessed that they might want to bury her alive. At this time, fear filled her heart. She did not want to die. She was unwilling to end her life like this. Her acting career wasn't over yet. She had never been in love. She hadn't enjoyed the pleasures of love. Tears instantly overflowed and spread across her face. She kept shaking her head, looking at Xiao Lianhu with a pleading look, hoping that he would let her go. However, when Xiao Lianhu saw her pleading eyes, he only shook his head. "You don't need me. When I was very young, I knew that begging was useless. Begging is useless. Only strength is the best weapon to save yourself." He looked at Liang Xiaobing with pity. "Unfortunately, you are only a weak woman. You cannot save yourself." At this time, the pit used to bury Liang Xiaobing had already been dug. Under Xiao Lianhu's instructions, 2 of his subordinates grabbed Liang Xiaobing's shoulder, 1 grabbed Liang Xiaobing's feet, and carried her into the pit. After that, they used a shovel to cover Liang Xiaobing's body with dirt. Even though Liang Xiaobing kept twisting her body and wanted to come out of the pit, her hands and feet were tied up and she could not even make a sound for help. Her body was soon covered with a layer of soil. "Goodbye, Miss Liang." Xiao Lianhu, who was standing outside the pit, smiled at Liang Xiaobing, who only showed her face. At this moment, the image of Zhou Hao appeared in Liang Xiaobing's mind. Zhou Hao had saved her the previous few times. Zhou Hao gave her a strong sense of security. She shouted in her heart, "Zhou Hao, come and save me. Please, come and save me." Liang Xiaobing's body below her neck was covered with dirt, only revealing a panicky face. Her mouth was stuffed with cloth, so she could not make a sound. Moreover, in this desolate mountain range, even if she called for help, no one would hear her. She saw that the man was using a shovel to dig up a pile of dirt, and he was about to cover her face. "Zhou Hao, where are you? Come and save me." Liang Xiaobing shouted in her heart. The gurgling tears also stained her face. Just as the man was about to cover Liang Xiaobing's face with the dirt, he suddenly let out a painful cry and softly fell down. Xiao Lianhu and the other 2 subordinates were shocked. The 2 subordinates just stood up and looked around the dense forest. At this moment, 2 small stones shot out from the darkness at the same time. The 2 men suddenly felt a pain in the back of their necks. Then, their vision turned black and they fell down powerlessly. They were unconscious. Seeing his 3 subordinates fall down one after another for no reason, Xiao Lianhu also became nervous. He walked around in the same place twice, but he still did not see anyone around him. He shouted loudly and asked, "Who is it? Come out." His right hand also took out a handgun from behind his waist and held it tightly in his hand. "I have always felt strange. Even if Fongbing Run is the boss of East Star, he shouldn't dare to touch the person Zheng Yingpei wants to protect. But once something happens to Xiaobing, everyone will definitely suspect him, so he shouldn't be so stupid." A young male voice came out of the dense forest. "I just didn't expect that the director's godson would be the one to put on such a good show. You're deliberately trying to drag him down." Following this voice, a tall voice slowly walked out from the forest beside Xiao Lianhu. It was Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao was driving the car. With his extraordinary intuition, even though he had walked a lot of wrong roads, he had finally found this place. Liang Xiaobing, who was half buried, saw that Zhou Hao had come to save her. The joy and gratitude in her heart could not be any greater. She even had a vague feeling of destiny. When she called Zhou Hao in her heart, he would really appear to save her. Was this destined by the heavens? When he saw Liang Xiaobing looking at him with a warm and grateful gaze, Zhou Hao also heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. He thought that it was fortunate that he arrived in time. His intuition was not only used to bet money for the lottery, but it was also very effective in saving people. Xiao Lianhu held the gun and aimed it at Zhou Hao's forehead. He asked fiercely, "How the F***ck did you find this place?" He naturally did not know Zhou Hao's extraordinary intuition. Even if he knew, he would not believe it, because he could not let Fang Bingrun know that he had kidnapped Liang Xiaobing. Other than himself, only his 3 trusted subordinates knew about it. No one else knew about it. Therefore, the first reaction Xiao Lianhu had when he saw Zhou Hao was that someone had betrayed him. "Why did I come? The key is that I came. You can't get what you want," Zhou Hao said with a sneer. Xiao Lianhu was Fang Bingruan's godson, but he kidnapped Liang Xiaobing without telling Fang Bingrun. Judging from his intention to kill Liang Xiaobing, it was obvious that he wanted to frame Fang Bingrun for Liang Xiaobing's death, so that Zhou Hao and Xing Yingpei could point the blame at Fang Bingrun. In Zhou Hao's opinion, there were 2 reasons why Xiao Lianhu did this. The first was that he had a deep grudge with Fang Bingrun. The second reason was that he wanted to get rid of Fang Bingrun and replace him to take over the power of the alliance. In comparison, Zhou Hao preferred the second possibility because Xiao Lianhu was Fang Bingruan's godson. If there were any grudges between the two, Fang Bingrun would know about it, and he would not take Xiao Lianhu as his godson. D***minu. You can't get away with this. Xiao Lianhu scolded loudly. "I'll kill you too. I want to see who else knows about this." He pointed the spear at Zhou Hao's head and sneered. "This time it is not a toy gun." As he spoke, a cold killing intent flashed in his eyes. He used his index finger to pull the trigger. Zhou Hao suddenly took 2 steps forward and instantly stood in front of Xiao Lianhu. At the same time, he reached out his right hand and pressed on Xiao Lianhu's gun, preventing the gun from firing. Xiao Lianhu was shocked. He did not expect Zhou Hao to be so decisive and fast. Just as he was about to raise his other hand to hit Zhou Hao, he saw Zhou Hao twist his right hand that was holding the gun. He immediately let go of the gun in pain. When he came back to his senses, the gun was already in Zhou Hao's hand. The target of the gun was also Xiao Lianhu. Xiao Lianhu immediately raised both his hands and said without hesitation, "Don't kill me." Zhou Hao was stunned by Xiao Lianhu's reaction. In his opinion, Xiao Lianhu should be a very stubborn person. Even if he was at a disadvantage, he would never lower his head and admit defeat. So when Zhou Hao heard what Xiao Lianhu said, he thought that Xiao Lianhu was referring to "kill me." "What? Say it again?" Zhou Hao said uncertainly. "Don't kill me." Xiao Lianhu's expression was firm, unlike those cowardly people who would wag their tails and beg for mercy. "Why not kill you? Give me a reason." Zhou Hao, on the other hand, became curious. He could clearly see the struggle in Xiao Lianhu's eyes. It was a struggle that he did not want to submit to him, but also did not want to lose his life. Xiao Lianhu took a deep breath. "Because I still have something to finish, so I can't die just like that." Zhou Hao took a deep look at Xiao Lianhu and did not say anything. He put down the pistol and skillfully disassembled the complete pistol into scattered parts and threw them to the ground. He had learned this from Zhao Dingzhou in the military. After that, Zhou Hao pulled Liang Xiaobing out of the pit and took the cloth from her mouth and untied the ropes on her hands and feet. Zhou Hao, after recovering her ability to move, Liang Xiaobing cried and threw herself into Zhou Hao's arms. She hugged him tightly and refused to let go. Zhou Hao held her shoulder and patted off the dirt on her body as he gently caressed her pink back and comforted her gently. "It's fine. Be good, don't cry. It's fine now."
Yes.
Liang Xiaobing nodded slightly, but her tears could not stop falling. But at this moment, her tears were brimming with joy and joy. In Zhou Hao's arms, she felt incomparably warm and safe. No one could hurt her anymore. Xiao Lianhu did not take the opportunity to run away. Instead, he stood there quietly, watching Zhou Hao rescue Liang Xiaobing. Zhou Hao held the weak Liang Xiaobing and said to Xiao Lianhu, "The reason you did this is obviously because you are against Fang Bingrun. Because if something happens to Xiaobing, everyone will suspect Fang Bingrun, and Xing Yingpei and I will not let him go. Your goal is to frame Fang Bingrun." Xiao Lianhu looked at Zhou Hao indifferently. "That's right. This is my goal." He said to Zhou Hao, "Now, you have a grudge with Fang Bingrun, and the whole world knows about it. Although Xiang Huaqiang and Xing Yingpei were very close to you, Fang Bingrun didn't dare to attack you recklessly. But I can tell you that Fang Bingrun is a man who will always seek revenge for his mistakes. As long as there is a chance, or if you become the weaker party, he will definitely not let you go. So what? Zhou Hao knew that what Xiao Lianhu said was the truth. Fang Bingrun was indeed the kind of person who would take revenge for his mistakes. 1. He heard Xiao Lianhu say, "As long as you don't tell anyone about what happened today, as long as I get rid of Fang Bingrun in the future, you will naturally be able to get rid of this hidden danger." Or even. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhou Hao. "If possible, I hope you can help me. I can promise you that as long as you get rid of Fang Bingrun, I will become the leader of the East Star. I will give you half of the annual income of the East Star, excluding the necessary expenses of the club. That will be at least a few 100 million HKD. A few 100 million HKD was not that attractive to Zhou Hao. However, it did not mean that Zhou Hao was not tempted. Especially now, he could use this money as the startup capital for South Korea. This was because with George Soros and the others attacking the financial market in Thailand, this financial crisis that only happened in Southeast Asia would soon affect South Korea, Japan, and other countries. This was an excellent opportunity for Zhou Hao to seize wealth. He already had another plan for Japan. As for South Korea, since it had only started to thrive in recent years, even if they had the advantage in the financial market, the benefits Zhou Hao could reap from it would be very limited. Therefore, to Zhou Hao, South Korea was more like a piece of useless meat. It was a pity that it was tasteless and abandoned. He was also unwilling to invest money there. The money that Xiao Lianhu promised could be borrowed to offer Buddha, so that Zhou Hao could put it in the financial market of South Korea. But in Zhou Hao's opinion, a few 100 million was a little too little. So he asked Xiao Lianhu, "How much money can the East Star transfer?" The East Star has an account in the Swiss Bank and Citibank. After so many years of accumulation, they should have billions of HKD. But I am not sure, only Fang Bingrun knows. Xiao Lianhu said, "Also, I know Fang Bingrun has a private account in the Swiss Bank. The money in it is more than 1 billion HKD. Zhou Hao said again, "If you become the leader of the East Star, how much can you transfer?" Xiao Lianhu hesitated for a moment and said, "It is impossible to transfer all the money. The people in the club will not agree. But I am confident if it is within 1 billion HKD. All right. If I help you take the seat of the leader of the East Star, you can give me 1 billion HKD. Zhou Hao smiled and said, "Of course, this is just a loan. At the latest, at the beginning of next year. I will pay you back with interest." Xiao Lianhu hesitated, because even if he became the leader of the union, it wouldn't be easy to transfer this much money, especially those uncles in the club. Although they did not have any real power, their reputation was still there. If they opposed it, it would be a troublesome matter. However, looking at the smile on Zhou Hao's face, Xiao Lianhu knew that he had no choice. If he didn't agree, even if Zhou Hao didn't kill him now, as long as he told Fang Bingrun about this matter, he wouldn't be able to live for long. Therefore, Xiao Lianhu gritted his teeth and said to Zhou Hao, "All right, I promise you." Zhou Hao extended his right hand to him and said with a smile, "Okay, then I wish us a happy cooperation." Since he had made up his mind, Xiao Lianhu had nothing to regret. He casually shook Zhou Hao's hand a few times. As for Xiao Lianhu's 3 underlings who fell to the ground and could not get up, they were merely knocked unconscious by Zhou Hao. When they were woken up by Xiao Lianhu and saw Zhou Hao, they subconsciously took money and aimed at Zhou Hao. Xiao Lianhu quickly stopped them and said, "Don't act recklessly. Mr. Zhou is now my partner." These 3 men were obviously Xiao Lianhu's trusted subordinates. They were very obedient to his orders. They immediately took back their guns and greeted Zhou Hao. "Hello, Mr. Zhou." A group of people came out of the dense forest. Xiao Lianhu said to Zhou Hao, "Everyone outside thinks that I am still in Macau, so I will only show up tomorrow. I will contact you tomorrow." Then he looked at Liang Xiaobing, who was beside Zhou Hao, and showed a kind smile. "Miss Liang, I am very sorry about what happened today. I will apologize to you." Although Xiao Lianhu had already cooperated with Zhou Hao, he was still someone who had almost killed her. Therefore, Liang Xiaobing was still very against him in her heart. Due to Zhou Hao's consideration for her, she still nodded her head slightly. After that, Liang Xiaobing sat in Zhou Hao's car. Zhou Hao sat in the driver's seat. When he saw that there were still some dirt and tears on her face, he took out a wet towel from the car and gently wiped the dirt on her face. "Zhou Hao, thank you," Liang Xiaobing said from the bottom of her heart. "You have helped me so much and saved my life today. I don't know how to thank you." Zhou Hao shook his head slightly. "We are friends. There's no need to talk about this." Liang Xiaobing's heart was beating wildly as she looked at this handsome young man. For the first time in her life, her heart was moved by a man. It was this man who repeatedly lent her a helping hand, and did not ask for anything in return. In fact, Liang Xiaobing did not have any romantic experiences. Even the rumors that had spread in society previously were only deliberately created by the company. In the entertainment industry, handsome men were like carps in a river. However, the longer Liang Xiaobing stayed in this circle, the deeper she knew about the hypocrisy of this circle. Those handsome men and beautiful women were mostly just holding a celebration ceremony to face the relationship between men and women. As the saying went, there was no true love when there was a party. Liang Xiaobing had truly experienced it. Compared to the male celebrities in the entertainment industry, Zhou Hao was not the most handsome. However, his charm was much greater than those male stars who only knew how to act. It was just like the sun in the sky. As long as he was around, the other men would appear dim and dull. Moreover, he was not like those men who had other intentions. He did not ask for too much just because he helped him. Just like what Su Lin said the other day, Zhou Hao could really be said to be the best man in the world. But Su Lin, Zhou Hao had a girlfriend, and he had a very good relationship with her. Thinking of this, Liang Xiaobing could not help but feel sad. Now she could already tell that Su Lin probably also liked this man. Previously, Liang Xiaobing did not notice that Zhou Hao was moved by her, but now she was also moved. Her thoughts were similar to Su Lin's, and she understood that Su Lin also liked Zhou Hao. He has a girlfriend. Do I have to destroy other people's feelings like other female celebrities? Liang Xiaobing asked herself in her heart. By the way, because you are missing, Wei Wen has already called the police, Zhou Hao suddenly said to her. But now, I do not want Xiaolianhu to be exposed, so Xiaobing, can you cooperate with me? I know this is very unfair to you, but I'm counting on you. Liang Xiaobing shook her head when she saw Zhou Hao's sincere expression. She said softly, my life was saved by you. This is nothing. I just told the police that I went out to buy things and didn't tell Wei Wen about it. The police wouldn't file a case either. Xiaobing, thank you. Zhou Hao smiled. Then he called Wang Wei Wen to tell him that he had found Liang Xiaobing. When he heard that Liang Xiaobing had been found, the heavy burden in Wang Wei Wen's heart was lifted. He hurriedly asked Zhou how to pass the phone to Liang Xiaobing. Even for his best friend, Liang Xiaobing did not tell Wang Wei Wen about Xiaolianhu. She only said that she had an accident at the last minute and apologized to him because she worried that Wang Wei Wen would be implicated. After that, Wang Wei Wen informed the police that Liang Xiaobing had been found and asked them to withdraw from the team. After sending Liang Xiaobing back, Zhou Hao drove the car that he borrowed from Xiang Huaqiang back to Xiang Huaqiang's villa. Xiang Huaqiang, Li Lan, and Su Lin were all waiting for Zhou Hao there. When Su Lin saw Zhou Hao return, she immediately came over and asked, Zhou Hao, did Xiaobing find it? Is she all right? Zhou Hao smiled and said, she's fine now. I sent her home. She was just shopping around her house. Then he thanked Xiang Huaqiang and Li Lan again. It was late. Xiang Huaqiang originally wanted to let Zhou Hao and Su Lin stay overnight at their house, but Zhou Hao declined. As for Xiaolianhu's matter, Zhou Hao had no intention of telling Xiang Huaqiang, because he did not completely trust Xiang Huaqiang, especially since this matter involved the changes in Hong Kong's underworld. Who could guarantee what Xiang Huaqiang would do? On the way back home, Su Lin talked about what she had done with Li Lan when she went to do cosmetic surgery. Sister Lan asked me if I was interested in developing in the entertainment industry. She said that their company had a few scenes to play. If I'm willing, I can immediately take on a role there. Zhou Hao smiled and said, then what do you mean? Su Lin looked at Zhou Hao and said softly, I rejected it? Huh, why? Don't girls have dreams of becoming celebrities? Now that you have such a good opportunity, why did you reject it? If I go to film, who will be your secretary? Su Lin said. Zhou Hao's heart skipped a beat. He could not help but secretly look at Su Lin, who was beside him. He saw that her face was pink and she lowered her head, not daring to look at him. That shy and charming look was very beautiful and charming. Zhou Hao quickly withdrew his thoughts and looked forward, reminding himself in his heart, this is Sister Lan's good sister, and this is Sister Lan's good sister. I can't have that kind of thought. When seeking death, Li Lan wanted to promote Su Lin as a celebrity. On one hand, it was because Su Lin's qualifications were very outstanding. She was even better than other female celebrities. On the other hand, she was afraid that she also had the intention of roping him in. In his previous life, Zhou Hao often heard that Xiang Huaqiang's brother Huasheng and his brother couldn't help but like to promote female celebrities and also like to keep female celebrities. Almost all the female stars in Hong Kong's entertainment industry had been touched by them. However, even if Su Lin agreed to develop in the entertainment industry, with him around, the brothers definitely would not dare to have malicious thoughts towards Su Lin. The next day, Zhou Hao instructed Su Lin to return to the Galaxy Investment to help deal with his funds in Thailand, while he waited for Xiao Lianhu's call at home. 3. Zhou Hao did not want Su Lin to get in touch with these matters in the underworld. It would not do her any good. While waiting for Xiao Lianhu's call, Zhou Hao was not bored to death. He tidied up his memories of his past life to adjust his plans in this financial storm. According to the development of his previous life, the first stage of this financial storm in Asia started in the 6th month of 1997 and continued all the way until the end of 1997. During this period of time, the financial markets of the various countries in Asia suffered a heavy blow. In the end, even Japan, the second largest economic country in the world, was affected. Many of the weaker banks and securities firms in China went bankrupt one after another. The financial market that had not recovered from the collapse of the bubble economy became even worse. The heavy blow of Asia's financial storm to Japan's economy was mainly reflected in Japan's currency exchange rates. During the period of the financial storm, the Japanese currency exchange rate continued to fall. The yen's exchange rate against the US dollar had once fallen to 150 to 1. Therefore, Zhou Hao's plan was to invest his funds into the Japanese futures market and the exchange rate market. He wanted to take advantage of the financial storm to get rid of the Japanese. However, the real impact of the financial storm on the economy of Japan would only start next year. So Zhou Hao was not in a hurry to transfer his money to Japan. South Korea would have to face this financial storm in November of 1997, and it would also be reflected in the Korean won exchange rate. In November of 1997, the Korean won exchange rate fell to a record of 1,008 to 1, and they had no choice but to ask for help from the International Monetary Fund. Although it was temporarily alleviated, in December, the Korean won's exchange rate with the US dollar dropped to 1,700 to 1. In fact, the reason why Japan was affected by this financial storm was because Japan had invested a lot in Korea. Korea was affected by the financial crisis, just like the effect of a bone card, dragging Japan down. In response to the development of Korea's financial storm, Zhou Hao planned to put money in the Korean foreign exchange market. At the same time, he wanted to take advantage of the financial storm's impact on South Korea to see if he could buy some shares of 3-Star and LG. And besides Japan and Korea, this financial storm will break through Asia and affect the world. In 1998, Russia's financial economy would plummet and rubles would depreciate by more than 70%, causing the U.S. foreign exchange market to fluctuate. And this series of events was a rare opportunity for Zhou Hao to earn money. Sure enough, when there is danger, there is an opportunity. Zhou Hao wrote down his rough plan from the beginning to the end of 1998 in a piece of white paper. He couldn't help but laugh to himself. Looking at the series of plans on the paper, Zhou Hao once again sorted out the thoughts in his mind. Then he took out a lighter and burned the piece of paper. Until now, other than himself, no one else knew the value of the content on the white paper, but Zhou Hao still did not want others to find out, so as to avoid unnecessary complications. At this moment, his phone rang. Zhou Hao thought it was Xiao Lianhu. But when he took it out to take a look, it was the general commander of the Nanjing military, Zhu Yongquan. Zhou Hao thought, why did he call at this time? Although he was puzzled, he immediately pressed the call button and leaned close to his ear. He smiled and said, Brother Zhu, why are you so free to call me? Do you really think I'm so free? Zhu Yongquan cursed on the phone. Something happened this time. Hearing that Zhu Yongquan's tone didn't sound like he was joking, Zhou Hao withdrew his smile and hurriedly asked, what happened? Do you remember the yellow spring water that you sold to our military? Zhu Yongquan said, we have already developed it and used animals to do live experiments. This spring water is indeed very effective. It can freeze all the blood in the living body within half an hour and cause the living body to die. We have also used this yellow spring water in an assassination attempt against the leader of the Japanese anti-Hua faction. Zhou Hao knew that the domestic military and security departments would take drastic measures against some hostile forces that threatened national security, such as destroying them with force or assassinating them in secret. These were all national secrets in the military and security departments. Some of the higher-ups in the system knew about it, but they would never reveal it to the international or the public. And some of the anti-China forces that often clamored to provoke China were not as indifferent or casually sent out a few denouncement notices like the people imagined. The military and security departments would secretly take action against those anti-China forces that posed actual threats. Zhou Hao had sold the yellow spring water to the military because he knew they would use it for this kind of operation. Zhu Yongquan said in a deep voice, our people have assassinated the target, but one of us has been exposed. Moreover, before we had the time to destroy the yellow spring water that we carried with us, the finished product of the yellow spring water was taken away by the other party. Zhou Hao stood up from his chair. What? That spring water was taken away by the anti-Hua faction? Yes, but it's only a finished yellow spring water. The formula is under the strict protection of our military. Even the people who carry out the mission do not know about it. Zhu Yongquan said, the dose of the spring water that was taken away by the other party is around 5 milliliters. We've already sent people to chase after it, but there's still no progress, Zhou Hao said with a solemn expression. Then they have a finished product. Can they crack the composition and even replicate the formula? I don't think so. At least not for a short period of time. Zhu Yongquan answered, because the chemical composition of yellow spring water is both complicated and rare. There are a few types that can only be found on specific plants. So even if they knew the chemical composition, it would still be very difficult to replicate it. Suddenly, Zhou Hao thought of a problem. Oh right, where's the antidote? Did they get the antidote? No, we won't let the people on duty carry the antidote, just to prevent this kind of situation, Zhu Yongquan said. And the antidote for the yellow spring water, we only produce very little. It's all under strict protection. Zhou Hao heaved a sigh of relief. Compared to the finished product of the yellow spring water, the antidote was more important. If the antidote was still in his hands, then even if the other party used the yellow spring water to deal with his own people, he would not be at a loss. Without the formula, the yellow spring water is very difficult to replicate, so the other party won't pose much of a threat to us. Zhu Yongquan said to Zhou Hao, I called you this time to inform you so that you can have a plan. Hee, you'd better prepare the antidote first. If it's the yellow spring water, if it turns out to be you, then it's not fair. Zhou Hao scolded with a smile. Who would curse someone like you? All right, I won't tell you anymore. I still have to deal with this matter. Oh right, I haven't congratulated you for becoming the old man's foster son yet. Please take care of me in the future. After saying that, Zhu Yongquan hung up the phone. Zhou Hao thought to himself, even if those people really used the yellow spring water on him, he didn't have to be afraid because his blood could cure hundreds of poisons. But Zhou Hao thought about it again. What if the people around him were harmed? He didn't need to be afraid of 10,000, just in case. It was better to make some preparations. However, the herbs needed for the antidote to the yellow spring water were harder to find. He did not know if there were any in Hong Kong. After thinking for a while, Zhou Hao decided to use his own blood to make it. After all, his blood could cure hundreds of poisons. Not only could he guard against the yellow spring water, but the range of usage was much wider than the antidote to the yellow spring water. Furthermore, even if he used his own blood to call himself a pill, no one would know that it was his own blood. Thus, Zhou Hao found a box of conservation pills and poured a small bottle of conservation pills together to grind them into powder. Then he pierced his fingertip, mixed his blood with the powder, and kneaded it into a thumb-sized pill before the blood coagulated. However, because Zhou Hao's body had a very strong recovery ability, the wound healed automatically after 2 drops of blood flowed out. This caused Zhou Hao to continuously stab himself with needles, and he even scolded himself. It's not a good thing if your body is too strong. After spending more than an hour, Zhou Hao had made 20 pills. Although he had lost a lot of blood, it did not affect him at all. At most, he could eat more to make up for it. However, because he repeatedly stabbed his index finger with the needle, it made his finger red and swollen. Looking at the 20 dark red pills, Zhou Hao laughed and said, "This is a precious medicine that can cure hundreds of poisons." He found a medicine that originally contained an Argentina. He poured out the Argentina inside and put the pills inside. He divided the 20 pills into 2 bottles, one in his home and the other in case of emergencies. At this time, Xiao Lianhu also called and asked Zhou Hao to meet him at a sauna center called Emperor Hao. In order to not be discovered, Zhou Hao did not drive his Porsche. Instead, he took a taxi to the Grand Emperor Sauna Center in Quanwan. According to Xiang Huaqiang's previous introduction, Quanwan was the territory of the Union Society, and this bath center was obviously managed by Xiao Lianhu. Walking into the lobby, Zhou Hao saw one of the subordinates who was with Xiao Lianhu yesterday. That person quickly came up to Zhou Hao and said, "Mr. Zhou, our big brother is waiting for you upstairs. Please follow me." 1. Zhou Hao nodded and followed the man to the 3rd floor. He took off his clothes and tied a towel on it. After that, they came to a shower hall. There were 4 or 5 spacious baths in the bathroom hall, and there was an exquisite Greek statue in the middle. However, there were no other guests in the hall. There was only a young man sitting in one of the bathtubs. He placed his hands on the side of the pool, and his expression was very pleased. It was Xiao Lianhu. The person who brought Zhou Hao in also consciously retreated out and closed the door. Only Zhou Hao and Xiao Lianhu were left in the hall. Mr. Zhou, come over here. The temperature of the pond water is just right. Xiao Lianhu smiled at Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao walked straight to the pool and took off his only towel when he came to the pool. He walked into the pool naked and sat down. Mr. Zhou is very strong. Xiao Lianhu saw the thing between Zhou Hao's legs and subconsciously looked at himself. He could not help but feel discouraged. He thought that it was no wonder Liang Xiaobing liked him so much. Zhou Hao also leaned against the pool and sat down. He felt that the temperature of the pool was very comfortable. He said to Xiao Lianhu, "Is the center of this house yours?" Xiao Lianhu shook his head. "It's Fongbing ruins. I'm just in charge of management. However, all the people here have already joined me. Even if I betray Fongbing Run, they will still follow me." Fongbing Run didn't suspect you, right? Also, how did he react to Xiaobing's matter this time? I flew to Macau last night on a speedboat, and then came back on a boat from Macau this morning, so he didn't suspect me. As for Liang Xiaobing, after knowing Liang Xiaobing went back, he called Xiang Huaqiang and argued that Xiang Huaqiang wronged him, Xiao Lianhu said. However, I can see that he also heaved a sigh of relief. Perhaps it was because he imagined Fongbing Ruin's expression at that time. Xiao Lianhu revealed a slight smile. Zhou Hao asked, "Do you have any enmity with Fongbing Run?" Xiao Lianhu did not say anything. He just put his head back on the towel by the pool. After a while, he said, "Maybe I will tell you after I get rid of Fongbing Run." Since Xiao Lianhu didn't want to say it now, Zhou Hao wouldn't pursue the matter any further. At this time, he heard Xiao Lianhu say, "Although I am Fongbing Ruin's godson, he does not completely trust me." There was another person he trusted the most in the East Star. Almost all the accounts of the East Star were under his control. Who is that person? Zhou Hao asked. His name is Mo Zhanxing. He has just turned 25 this year. He is an immigrant from Taiwan and joined the East Star at the age of 16. At the age of 20, he was admired by Fongbing Run. After that, he became the current hall master of the East Star. Zhou Hao frowned. Is he Fongbing Ruin's relative? Although he had only met Fongbing Run once, Zhou Hao had a rough understanding of the old fatty's character. If it wasn't for the benefits, he wouldn't put someone in an important position for no reason. And that person was even younger than Xiao Lianhu, but he had already achieved the high position of Hall Master. Xiao Lianhu also saw Zhou Hao's doubt. He just smiled faintly and wiped his head with a wet towel by the pool. "Mr. Zhou, do you know about Yang Lianting?" Yang Lianting? Zhou Hao asked. He naturally knew who Yang Lianting was. He was a villain in the novel, Laughing in the Pugilistic World. He was Invincible East's male pet. He saw Xiao Lianhu. "You mean that Mo Zhanxing is Fongbing Ruin's male pet? Doesn't Fongbing Run like women?" Indeed, Fongbing Run had a grudge with Zhou Hao previously because of Liang Xiaobing. However, he heard Xiao Lianhu say, "Actually, that guy is bisexual. He likes both women and men." He frowned. "And he also has a pedophile tendency. This guy is an out-and-out pervert." Suddenly, Zhou Hao looked at Xiao Lianhu with a strange look. He secretly thought that Xiao Lianhu hated Fongbing Run so much. Could it be that Fongbing Run had ruined him in the past? Realizing that there was something strange in Zhou Hao's eyes, Xiao Lianhu quickly guessed what he was thinking. He quickly clarified. "What are you thinking about?" Pausing for a moment, he sighed. "Fortunately, I am not very handsome, but that Mo Zhanxing is even more feminine than a woman. Fongbing Run doted on him very much. However, only I know about this. Even the uncles in the club don't know that Fongbing Run is bisexual. This secret alone is enough to pull Fongbing Run down from his position as the leader," Zhou Hao said. "Although that's the case, this will also cause the reputation of our East Star to be tarnished." Zhou Hao shrugged and said, "Let's get back to business. Do you want me to help you get rid of that Mo Zhanxing?" Xiao Lianhu looked at Zhou Hao in surprise, as if he didn't expect Zhou Hao to have such a sharp mind. Before he could say it out loud, he already knew that his target was Mo Zhanxing. He said, "Without Mo Zhanxing, it will be easier for me to control the East Star and gain Fongbing Ruin's trust. It will also be easier for me to deal with him." Zhou Hao nodded. "Then how do you want me to help you? I know you have a good relationship with Xing Yingpei. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come out to protect Liang Xiaobing for you." Xiao Lianhu said, "That's why I hope you can cooperate with me and kill Mo Zhanxing. I also want Fongbing Run to kill him personally." It seemed like Xiao Lianhu already had a detailed plan, and he had told Zhou Hao everything about his plan. After knowing about Xiao Lianhu's plan, Zhou Hao felt that there was a great chance of success, so he agreed. "Xiao Lianhu, can I trust you?" Zhou Hao suddenly asked. "My weakness is in your hands. Do you think you can't trust me?" Zhou Hao smiled faintly, "Because I'm afraid that you will kill me to silence me." Xiao Lianhu smiled and shook his head. "All right. In order to make you trust me more and make our cooperation more intimate, I will tell you another secret. He picked up the pond water and wiped his face, then said, Didn't Xiang Huaqiang get assassinated by gunmen before? You were also there at that time. I think the police have already found out who the gunman was. It was only to prevent the people of Xi and Ian from becoming chaotic that they deliberately blocked the news. Hearing Xiao Yanhu's words, Zhou Hao's face turned cold. Do you know who the shooter is? Xiao Yanhu nodded. That guy is a red stick in our E-Star. His name is Gao Wintao, and his nickname is Mad Dog. Zhou Hao's first reaction was to guess how Xiao Yanhu knew about this. If he knew that the shooter was Gao Wintao, it meant that the assassination of Xiang Huaqiang was indeed done by the Union Society. However, if the Union Society really wanted to kill Xiang Huaqiang, how could they reveal such an obvious flaw? If the people of New Ian knew about this, they would definitely seek revenge from the new Union Society. If Xiao Yanhu did not know about this from the beginning, then it was obvious that he had his own informants in the police and revealed this information to him. Wait, Zhou Hao had a flash of inspiration in his heart. He raised his head and looked at Xiao Yanhu in shock. Xiao Yanhu also smiled. You guessed it? Humph, humph, humph. This time, it was Fang Bingrun, that old fatty, who did it. Now, Zhou Hao understood. The reason why he let Gao Wintao assassinate Xiang Huaqiang was to let the police investigate Gao Wintao's identity and his position in the Alliance of Heroes. Gao Wintao was a member of the East Star, but it was precisely because the evidence was too obvious that Xing Yingpei and even Zhou Hao had the first impression that the Alliance would not be so stupid. It was very likely that they were framed by people with ulterior motives. This was the same logic as, the most dangerous place is the safest place. It was because Fang Bingrun had become the biggest victim in this matter, except for Xiang Huaqiang. No one else would suspect him. Furthermore, Fang Bingrun's acting skills were just too good in the tea house with backbone. Zhou Hao also felt that this old fatty was really hiding his true abilities now that he thought about it. Even if Xiang Huaqiang found out about Gao Wintao's identity, he would still think that Fang Bingrun was framed and ignored. This was the same as being smart and being fooled by his own intelligence. If he thought deeper, even if Xing Yingpei knew that the real culprit behind the scenes was Fang Bingrun, in this sensitive period before his return, the police would still do their best to protect this secret. They would not let Hong Kong's underworld be thrown into chaos. However, during this period of time, because Xi and Ian could not find the real culprit, Xiang Huaqiang was under pressure from all sides. He had no choice but to find a partner to vent Xi and Yian's anger on. No matter which gang Xiang Huaqiang wanted to target, once Xi and Ian moved, the other gangs in the underworld would definitely not be indifferent. At that time, the gangs in Hong Kong would form alliances or fight with each other, and the chaotic situation in Hong Kong would be the same as the 7 heroes of the Warring States period in ancient times. Xiao Lianhu said, This is what it means to be false, but in reality it is false. But why did Fang Bingrun do that? If he did this, he would drag the East Star into some kind of whirlpool. What benefits would it bring to him? Zhou Hao raised the question in his heart. Indeed, no matter how this matter developed, as an important member of Hong Kong's underworld, the English society could not be selfish. However, Xiao Lianhu also shook his head. I don't know about that either. 3. Then how did you know it was Fang Bingrun who did it? Zhou Hao asked. Because Imo Zhenxing was the one who carried out this task for Fang Bingrun. That Gao Wintao was one of Imo Zhenxing's subordinates. And my men are by Imo Zhenxing's side. That's why I know. Zhou Hao lowered his head and fell into deep thought. The thing that puzzled him the most was Fang Bingrun's motive. Don't worry. I will investigate this matter thoroughly. Xiao Lianhu said, but you and Xiang Huaqiang are friends. You better advise him not to let the people of Xi and Ian act rashly. At this moment, a small conflict would cause the entire Hong Kong underworld to explode. Although I don't know what that old fatty's goal is, I don't want him to succeed. Zhou Hao nodded and stood up from the bathtub. He put on a towel and walked out. When he reached the door, he heard Xiao Lianhu's words coming from behind. Also, let's not talk about the old fatty's motive first. However, the plan for the assassination of Xiang Huaqiang this time was so thorough that it was not something that the old fatty could think of. I suspect that someone has offered a scheme to him. I will investigate it thoroughly when I return. Zhou Hao's heart skipped a beat. After that, he pushed open the door and left the hall. After coming out of the Sovereign Hao, Zhou Hao took out his phone and dialed Xing Yingpei's number. Uncle Pei, where are you now? I want to meet you. I have something to tell you. When they arrived at Xing Yingpei's office in the police station, Zhou Hao saw Xing Yingpei in his uniform, looking very heroic. There was no nonsense to be said. Zhou Hao told Zhang Yingpei the news he got from Xiao Lianhu. Did Fang Bingrun really do it? Zhang Yingpei was also shocked when he heard that. Good guy. He actually lied to us. Zhou Hao asked, Uncle Pei, you have known this Fang Bingrun for a long time. Do you think he will come up with such a plan? Zhang Yingpei frowned and said, I don't think he came up with this plan. Fang Bingrun was a very vulgar person. If it was the 14K in Longji, it was possible. But if it was Fang Bingrun, I don't think it would be possible. Could it be that Mo Jinxing? But our police have investigated this person in detail before. I think that although this person is a little smart, he doesn't seem to be such an unfathomable person. I'm not too sure about Mo Jinxing. Zhou Hao said, let's not talk about this for now. Uncle Pei, there's something I want you to help me with. In the next week or so, Zhou Hao had traveled almost all over Hong Kong and had tasted all the delicacies in Hong Kong. At the same time, during this period of time, he personally guided the many financial elites in his company to control his funds in Southeast Asia. On the other hand, he was also constantly perfecting his own investment plan at home, and time was busy and fulfilling. Su Lin was Zhou Hao's secretary, and her work was done very well, which saved Zhou Hao a lot of time. Zhou Hao also praised his decision to recruit her to his company. In addition, Zhou Hao would sometimes eat and chat with Liang Xiaobing and Wang Weiwen. On this day, Zhou Hao and Su Lin invited the two wives of the Zhang family, Zhang Jiaying and Zheng Bao Aijing, to dinner. After this period of time, Zhou Hao and the Zhang family had become very close. Previously, Zhang Jiaying said that Hong Kong had recently opened a private restaurant. The taste was very good, and the lady boss was also very good. Many rich and powerful officials' wives and daughters were willing to come, so they wanted to bring Zhou Hao and Su Lin to try it out. This private restaurant did not have a store, but was in a noble residential area called Yi Hai Garden. Zhou Hao and Su Lin followed the two wives of the Zhang family to this Yi Hai Garden and went straight to the entrance of a unit on the 28th floor. The female owner of this private restaurant is surnamed Hai, and her name is Hai Qixuan, but we all call her Ah Sun. Zhang Minjing and Zhou Hao said, actually, she didn't open this private restaurant to make money. She was purely interested and wanted to make more friends. Her husband runs a supermarket and has a net worth of a few $100 million. However, he passed away a few years ago and left a large amount of inheritance for her. At that moment, Zhang Baojing pressed the doorbell. After a pleasant ringing sound, the iron door opened. A tall and exquisite woman appeared at the door. She had bright eyes, white teeth, and delicate facial features. She was a rare beauty. She was obviously the lady boss of this private restaurant, Hai Qixuan, Zhang Minjing had mentioned. When she saw Zhang Minjing, Zhou Hao, and the others, she smiled brightly. Madam Zhang, you're here? Her smile was as beautiful as a blooming rose, especially her bright eyes. They were like two crescent moons, giving people a refreshing feeling. She welcomed Zhang Jiaying and Zhou Hao into the house. Zhou Hao saw that the place was spacious and luxurious. According to the current property price in Hong Kong, this unit's price was probably not below 20 million. In the dining hall, there was a solid wooden table with a bottle of fragrant orchids on it. Hai Qixuan invited Zhou Hao and the rest to sit in the living room and poured them some fresh water. These two are the friends you mentioned, Mrs. Zhang, right? She smiled at Zhou Hao and Su Lin. The two of you are so young. My surname is Hai. You can just call me Ah Sun. Let's call you Sister soon. Zhou Hao also smiled. He saw Hai Qixuan not only had a well-developed body, but she also had a mature and attractive charm, especially her eyes. Her eyes, and smile were all charming. However, even though it was his first time meeting her, Zhou Hao felt that this Hai Qixuan gave him a familiar feeling. It was as if he had seen her somewhere before. However, this sense of familiarity was faintly discernible, making him unable to catch it. At this moment, Zheng Bao said to Zhou Hao, if you want to eat at Ah Sun's place, you need to book a table a week in advance. Otherwise, there won't be any seats available. It could be seen how delicious Ah Sun's food was. I remember that when we first came here, we almost swallowed our tongues. She even asked Ah Sun to teach her a few dishes and went back to cook them for Yingpei. Yingpei can't stop praising her. Hai Qixuan covered her mouth and said with a faint smile, Mrs. Zhang, you flatter me. What I make is just an ordinary side dish. It is not as exaggerated as what Mrs. Zhang said. Zhou Hao looked at Hai Qixuan, who was covering her mouth and smiling. He could not help but be a little stunned. He felt that every movement of this mature woman had a touch of soul-refreshing charm. Although she was only wearing an ordinary housewife uniform and did not expose herself at all, she was still able to give people a kind of sexy charm. It was said that a woman's true sexiness was not in the clothing but in the style. Hai Qixuan vividly portrayed this sentence. He saw Hai Chishuan's plump and sexy red lips opening and closing slightly, like a pink cherry filled with charm. Suddenly, Zhou Hao felt that someone beside him had lightly knocked his arm, and he could not help but look to the side. Su Lin rolled her eyes at him and said, "Sister Sun is asking you about something. Why are you in a daze?" Only then did Zhou Hao come back to his senses. He realized that Hai Chishuan was talking to him when her lips parted. He scratched his head in embarrassment and smiled apologetically. "Sorry, I was distracted just now. Sister Sun, say it again." "Hee, I was just asking Mr. Zhou about the weight of your taste. Mr. Zhou, do you prefer a lighter or heavier taste?" Hai Chishuan smiled. Zhou Hao replied, "A heavier one. I like ones with a thicker taste." After that, Hai Chishuan went into the kitchen to prepare food, while Zhou Hao and Zheng Minjing stayed in the living room to chat. Zheng Bao loved Jing. He smiled at Zheng Minjing and said, Xiao Hao was stunned when he saw her just now. She was so cute. Zhou Hao felt very awkward when the two ladies exposed him. Su Lin, who was beside him, also rolled her eyes at him. Zheng Minjing smiled at Zhou Hao and said, "Xiao Hao, do you know that every time we come to Ah Sun's place to eat, we will only invite some good sisters and never bring our husband with us?" Seeing Zhou Hao's puzzled expression, she said, "It's because Ah Sun's charm is too great. It's not that we can't trust her, or that we can't trust her. It's just that." She looked at Zheng Bao, who was beside her. Zheng Bao and Ai Jing said, "It's just that Ah Sun couldn't help but be tempted by us women, let alone men. We have a friend. Her husband is an advanced engineer. She once treated her husband and son to a meal here. She didn't expect her husband and son to fall in love with Ah Sun at first sight. Later on, they even fought over this matter. Later on, that friend of ours divorced her husband. Even now, her husband and son are still pursuing Ah Sun." Zheng Minjing also said, "Although Ah Sun doesn't want such a thing to happen, there are times when the tree wants peace but the wind keeps blowing. So from then on, we won't bring Sir over every time we come up for a meal." After Su Lin heard that, she couldn't help but complain about the Zheng family's two wives. "Auntie, if that's the case, why did you bring Zhou Hao over? He has a girlfriend, and she's a good sister to me. We just want to bring you here to taste Ah Sun's cooking. Besides, we believe in Xiao Hao's character. He won't let down his girlfriend. Don't you think so, Xiao Hao?" Zheng Bao said with a smile. Zhou Hao, on the other hand, laughed guiltily because he knew who he was. Even without Hai Chishuan, Li Rulin was not the only woman by his side. "By the way, how old is Sister Sun this year?" Su Lin suddenly asked. Zheng Minjing answered, "She seems to be almost 40, but she looks like she's in her 30s. I don't know how she took care of herself. How enviable." Zhou Hao was secretly surprised. He did not expect Hai Chishuan to be already 40 years old. Just now, he thought that she was at most 30 years old. Su Lin asked again, "Then how much does it cost to have a meal here?" "It is not expensive," Zheng Bao said. "It's usually 1 or 2,000. Sometimes, Ah Sun doesn't charge." After chatting for a while, Hai Chishuan had already prepared the food. Zhou Hao and Su Lin quickly went to the kitchen to help her carry the food out. There was a total of 6 dishes and a soup. The soup was the sandworm dry papaya cooking grass fish. The vegetables were the salted egg steamed meat patty, the sour plum steamed pork ribs, the brewed fish, the rotten bamboo wenduck duck, garlic fried oatmeal, and salted fish eggplant cooking. Although they were all typical household dishes in Guangdong, the color, fragrance, and taste were all there. Just looking at the appearance and smell of the dishes was enough to make people salivate. Zhou Hao and the others sat down. Hai Chishuan had already prepared the rice for them. She also specially picked up a piece of braised dry fish and placed it in Zhou Hao's bowl. "Mr. Zhou, try this braised dice fish. I made them with fresh pork and dice fish." Seeing Hai Chishuan's charming smile, Zhou Hao repeatedly replied, all right, thank you, Sister Sun." Hai Chishuan's cooking skills were indeed very high. The dishes were very delicious. Even Yin Tong and Lu Shiping, experienced housewives, could not make household dishes to such an extent. Zhou Hao was very impressed. However, the more he got along with Hai Chishuan, the more Zhou Hao felt that Hai Chishuan was very familiar with her. However, he could not think of where he had seen her before. At this moment, he heard Hai Chishuan smile at Su Lin. "Miss Su, that oil and wheat with some sesame oil will be more fragrant. I will bring some for you." As she spoke, she did not wait for Su Lin to agree and went to the kitchen to get a bottle of sesame oil for her. Su Lin just received the sesame oil and thanked Hai Chishuan. But when she put the sesame oil dripping into her mouth, she immediately spit it out. "Ah, it is so spicy." Hai Chishuan took the bottle of sesame oil and dipped her finger into it before quickly apologizing to Su Lin. Ah, sorry, Miss Sue. I treated the chili oil as sesame oil. I will get some water for you. Although Hai Qishuan was apologizing and quickly brought some water for Su Lin, Zhou Hao found that there was a sly smile in her eyes. Just now, she obviously gave the chili oil to Su Lin on purpose. Why did she tease Su Lin? Zhou Hao also felt strange in his heart. Could it be that Su Lin offended her before? Impossible. Su Lin obviously only knew her today. Therefore, Zhou Hao could only treat Hai Qishuan's actions just now as a prank. It had to be said that Hai Qishuan was very sociable. When she talked about cooking and shopping with Zhang Minjing and Zheng Baoijing, it made the two wives of the Zheng family admire her. When she talked about cosmetic matters, even Su Lin, who had been teased by her, was attracted to her. According to Zheng Minjing, Hai Qishuan was already 40 years old, but her appearance was like a young married woman in her early 30s. There must be a unique way to maintain her appearance. And she also very quickly subdued Su Lin and the two Madame Zheng. Of course, Zhou Hao was not as interested in the topic of these women as Su Lin and the others. However, Hai Qishuan's sudden words attracted Zhou Hao over. Madame Zheng, did you buy shares? I think it's better to be careful. I'm afraid that in a short period of time, Hong Kong's stock market will experience a huge decline. Zhang Mingjie said, it can't be. Hong Kong's stock market has been very strong for the past half a year. The few shares I bought from the beginning of the year have almost increased by half. I have also earned more than $1 million. Hai Qishuan shook her head. All these years, Hong Kong's property prices, especially real estate prices, have started to bubble up. Furthermore, long-term real estate interest rates are negative, causing real estate speculators to be very popular. Since the start of the 84 years, Hong Kong's main property prices have increased by 12 times, causing the economy to be overheating. The salary of the people and the stock market will only rise like this. She said to Zhang Mingjiang, look, now many Hong Kong citizens have invested in the stock market, and there's a nationwide stock market phenomenon. This is actually not a good phenomenon. Hearing Hai Qishuan's words, Zhou Hao was also quite surprised. He did not expect that this person with excellent culinary skills, who was still alive, would actually have such a deep understanding of the stock market. He heard her say, in the Hong Kong stock market, real estate companies and banks hold a very important position. Once the bubble in these two areas is destroyed, the stock market will be in danger at any time. In fact, the bubble in real estate has also caused the economic environment, causing production and sales costs to rise, causing the inflation pressure in Hong Kong to gradually accumulate. I think Hong Kong's currency will depreciate in the future. As soon as she finished speaking, Zhou Hao could not help but clap his hands. Because Hai Qishuan's view was the same as those financial experts' analysis of Hong Kong's stock market after the Asian financial storm in Zhou Hao's previous life. It was also because of the bubble in Hong Kong's stock market that George Soros and Julian were attracted to it. A financial tycoon like Robeson was coveting it, allowing international investors like them to take advantage of it. After hearing Hai Qishuan's analysis, Zhou Hao even thought that she had been reborn from the future just like him. The reason Zhou Hao could control the trend of the international stock market was completely because of the memories of his past life. In his previous life's university, his graduation thesis, the theme was the analysis of the economic countries and international financial markets in the past 15 years. This topic also allowed him to stand out among the many graduates and obtain the best graduation results at his age. Using this advantage, Zhou Hao was able to gain foresight in the current stock market and futures market. However, this was undoubtedly a form of cheating. Hai Qishuan, on the other hand, relied on her own talent to learn this conclusion. She was much better than those so-called experts who only knew how to shoot after the horse. Therefore, just in terms of talent and ability, Zhou Hao knew that he was far from being able to compare with Hai Qishuan. This had to be admired by Zhou Hao. He thought to himself that this charming man was truly talented. When Zhang Minjing and Zheng Baoijing saw Zhou Hao applauding, they couldn't help but ask, Xiao Hao, you agree with Ah Sun's words? They knew that Zhou Hao came to Hong Kong to run an investment company. Although they did not know how much money Zhou Hao had earned, they knew from Zheng Yingpei that he had made a lot of money in the stock market. Therefore, they attached great importance to his opinion. Zhou Hao nodded. That's right. I think Sister Sun's analysis is very correct. The current Hong Kong stock market is indeed very prosperous with undercurrents behind it. Uncle Quan and the rest should have realized it. Zheng Yingquan was now Hong Kong's financial secretary. After he returned, he would be the first financial secretary of Hong Kong's special district. Regarding Hong Kong's real estate market and stock market, he should be much more knowledgeable than ordinary people. Zheng Bao nodded and said, that's right. In Quan also said before that although Hong Kong's stock market is prosperous on the surface, it is actually very unstable. Really? Zheng Mingjie said in shock. Then I have to release all those shares as soon as possible. Anyway, I have already earned so much money. I am satisfied now. There is no need to rush. It will only be released in the middle of July. I estimate that Hong Kong's stock market will still have potential before August. However, before August, you must release your shares. Otherwise, you will be in danger of being trapped. Hai Qishuan looked at Zhou Hao with a smile. Mr. Zhou is so confident that the Hong Kong stock market will have the potential to rise before August? This was analyzed by our company's analysts. I have always trusted their analysis. Zhou Hao did not